Hey guys, happy Sunday. I hope you are having a glorious Sunday. And let me know what you guys have cooked up for today, maybe this week, maybe some cool things that happened last week or some unusual things. But before we dive into everything, if you don't know who I am Tara with The Savage Wild. You can learn a little bit more about me by going down to that description box just below this video and checking out the website, thesavagewild.com, maybe checking out the Instas, the Savage Wild AZ, maybe looking for ways to help support the channel, maybe through YouTube membership, which is also linked down below, or my Patreon homies. So thank you to everybody who has been so supportive. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into a delicious tea to kind of, I don't know, I feel like need some energizing, but not too energizing. I mean, I'm not tired at all, but I feel like, want to get some more energy, creativity so that we can have our glorious live chat. Okay. All right. Oh, I just realized I forgot to bring my laptop in here so I can read your comments. But in the meantime, I will make a tea. And so I was kind of thinking, a friend of mine kept talking about Darjeeling in India, and I was like, it just made me really want Darjeeling tea. So I have been thinking about Darjeeling since then. So I'm like, okay, Darjeeling is, well, it's, I guess, leaning in towards like a black tea, which definitely will give you a nice kick, but it has this like roasted florally scent to it. Fabulous, fabulous. Okay, so I was thinking of putting in maybe like a tablespoon, maybe just a hair under a tablespoon. I kind of have a large mug, so I got a large mug. Anyway, I'll put about a tablespoon in there, let that steep first, and then I was thinking of adding in some cinnamon for a little bit of spice and adding in this concoction that I made that's in this little jar here. It's a vanilla simple syrup. So it's a little simple syrup I made and I just like infused it with vanilla. It just gives everything such a nice sweet flavor. Just something a little different than the usual honey that I put into everything. Okay, so let's go ahead and put in our little tablespoon here. I already have my water boiling, so that's gooder. Oh, thank you. Okay, so we're going to let that steep. Let me go grab my kettle. Oh, hot water. Okay, so we'll let this steep for about 5 minutes before I toss in the sugar, well, vanilla sugar and cinnamon. And that should be glorious. Absolutely glorious. Okay, let's put that there. Let's move this off to the side. Okay, let me grab my lappy top here. Do, do, do. Yay. Okay. Plug y'all in. And hey, Shapeshifter is here. Says, how are you? I am doing fabulous. I hope that you are doing fabulous as well. Shapeshifter says, Darjeeling tea is right up my alley. Heck yeah. Costalini said, howdy, howdy. Shapeshifter saying hello. So yeah, yesterday, it was yesterday. I don't know why, like time is so like kind of weird right now. So on Friday, Riley and I were supposed to meet up with out Eckstein, not the Eckstein Ranch, but we were at the butcher's place at Rusty's Butcher in Springerville. Um, but we decided, Riley and I decided to head down to a place called Payson because we were going to be picking up a welder. I'm going to learn how to do some welds, so I'm super excited. I tried my hand at it probably like a little over 20 years ago, and it was just looked like globs of metal, like everywhere with holes, and it was absolutely horrendous. But now that there's going to be a welder here, and I can, maybe do some practice and stuff, maybe I can get pretty good at welding. We'll see, we'll see. But anyway, so we picked a welder up, and we're headed back. And we know that, when brake pads need changing, they start to make a little squeaky noise, like letting you know, hey, time to get changed. So we're kind of hearing that noise. So we're like, oh, okay, so we're heading back. But it went away. And then we hear the noise again. And all of a sudden we hear something fly off. I think it's like the brake pad flew off or something, the caliper or whatever. I don't know. And so we pull over, and it was like smoking from the brake, and we're like, what? So we take a look, and the wheel seems fine. Everything seems fine. But yeah, it does seem like, okay, it really does need like a new brake pad and possibly new rotor. So we decide we're going to just like limp it along the side of the road because it was getting hot and kind of smoky. And so we're like, okay. So I'm texting our buddy who was, we were going to meet up for the cow and everything. And we're in and out of cell service, which reminds me, y'all should get your ham license, your ham radio license, because if like landlines aren't working, like cell towers aren't working, ham radio, man. So, I mean, we have it. I have my ham radio license. And so like, that's what I was telling my buddy. I was, dude, you need to get at that, because it was so hard to get a signal out in the forest, to say, hey, come help us. I eventually got the signal through, so that he could go pick up a trailer, then come like pick us up and then take us back. And we called our other buddy who owns like an auto body shop, and we're like, and he works on diesels. We're like, hey, can we drop the truck off? But we're going to need that truck back because like you literally have our other ride there. So then we would have no rides. And he's like, oh, okay, well, maybe Monday, you get back. We're like, okay. So our buddy comes, picks us up, takes us, back home. We drop off the truck. But it was too late to go to the butcher. So yes, yesterday. Now we get to why I'm talking about Darjeeling. You're like, what the heck does this have to do with Darjeeling? Anyway, so we were on our way to the butcher finally, with our buddy and Riley, and he was talking about, he's not quite sure where he would like to go next because he's kind of traveled the world, and he's thinking he wants to get out of the US for a little while. He really, really, really likes India. And I mean, he's been, to all kinds of wonderful places. And he's like, but, over here is kind of his home. So it's like he wants to be able to come home, but he says he's gone, done things where he's been out of the country for years, and then he's just decided to come back, and then he'll go another place for like several months or maybe a few years or a decade or something. So he is the traveling man. And so he was talking about Darjeeling, and he was like, I think you guys would absolutely love it. And he says, because that's like where the Darjeeling tea comes from. And they have like all these tea houses with like all different types of like teas you could try. And he learned so much about tea last time he was there. And I was like, dude, that would be like the jam for me. Cause when I was in China, and I got to go to like the tea fields there where they basically make like emperor's tea and white tea and everything. I was like running through the tea fields, like eating tea. It was tea leaves like literally off the plant. I was like, woo! So I was like, that would be a lot of fun, to maybe head up to Darjeeling. And he was like, it's kind of cool because he says you're above the clouds. So it's like you look and the clouds are all below you, or sometimes you're encompassed in the clouds, and it's really cool. So sounds fabulous. You know what? There's tons and tons of time for us to go travel the world because I'm gonna live to be like 150. So cool beans. Anyways, so that's why, long story, not so short, that I wanted some Darjeeling tea today. um, Okay, see, Shapeshifter says, doing somewhat fabulous. Okay, okay. Is ham end-to-end encrypted? I believe like through ham, and the different like frequencies there's like GMRS and there's, all these things that you can do encrypted, like direct, where you're on a like a particular like tone or frequency, and tons of people can be on it, but if you're like just going like direct, you're just like talking to one other person. Only you two can basically hear each other. Like everybody else who's on that same frequency might not be able to hear you. So it's the same thing that sometimes police departments and different like public safety units might use. That where it's everybody can hear, but then they get onto this particular tone or frequency through it, and it just sounds like like garble or like weird Tony stuff, and nobody can understand what you're saying. So yeah, you can definitely make it so only you two can hear each other, if it's just going to be you two or three, or how many people want to do it. Like we do it when we go jeeping. We'll say we'll be on channel whatever, and then we might change I believe it's called the tone. I might be wrong, but I believe it's called the tone. We might get to a different tone, and that way we, like the GP people who are on it, can hear each other. Once in a while, you might hear somebody who might be on the exact same tone, the exact same frequency or a channel or whatever. You might hear them and they might hear you. But in that case, you just switch it to a different channel, and then it's just you guys. So cool beans. Great question. Lilith is here. What's up? She says howdy. Okay, Riley said ham is not, but not end-to-end encrypted, but you could go to a different channel. Shifter says, Lilith, long time no see. They're both like, Shifter says, got it. Well, this is where you've been. She says, how dare you neglect us all like this? Shifter says, I actually couldn't find that emoji. I had to use the cat one. Hey, I use the cat one all the time. That's cool beans. Shapeshifter says, Darjeeling actually is beautiful. And then he was saying, Lilith, dude, I missed you too. All of you actually. And Costolini says, imagine the glasses you'll be wearing at 150. Psh, I'm going to have perfect vision, y'all. Lilith says, what do you mean? I'm a single personality entity as far as I'm aware. As far as she's aware. Shapeshifter says, Lilith, that's why I sent a reminder today to not miss this. What does single personality entity mean? And she says, I set my alarm because I fell asleep. I'm still not awake. Hey, then this just might be the tea for you. It's got a little pep in the step, but not so much that it's going to make you all cracked out, She said, I'm saying I don't have a multiple personality disorder. And he says, it can be fun though. Yeah. Every day, new adventure. Okay. I think that the Darjeeling has steeped enough. It's at least been a few minutes. Don't need it to get too steeped, because then it gets kind of burny tasting, like burnt. I don't really want burnt tea. And too bitter. I don't really want my tea bitter. Just want enough steepage. Okay, I am going to put in 1 cinnamon stick. Just sniff that. Get all up and so uplifting. All right, I'm just going to throw that right in there, because that's okay if it gets more and more cinnamony. I happen to love cinnamon. And then I'm going to take that simple syrup concoction that I made a while back, which is in here. It's a vanilla simple syrup. And I'm just going to put some right on in there. A little goes a long way. So let's give that a little stir-ski. have a little taste. Mm. Ooh, that is perfecto. Oh, I don't think I've had the Darjeeling with vanilla. That's actually pretty awesome. If I do say so myself. Okay, let me rinse this spoon off with the leftover hot water that I had. Helps get all the sticky off. Okay, let me go put these in the other room. Okay. Lilith says, Mom. Shapeshifter says, if you love Darjeeling, you'll love the northeast of India where I live. Cool. Yeah, India is a place that I have wanted to go and visit. I had actually that brings up some lovely memories. So I had a friend whose name was May Wang, but I just called her Dr. Wang. I mean, everybody called her Dr. Wang. I think even her daughters called her Dr. Wang. But anyway, she was my acupuncturist for a really long time back in the day. And we ended up becoming friends. And actually, she's the one that helped me understand energy and try to like lean into it. Like when I'd go in for, I didn't really have like issues that I needed acupuncture work for. She just was like, it's good to always just, help the chi, help the energy get flowing in the right direction. So you come in for what she would call tune up. So I would come in and I'd be in, maybe a room like near her office where I could kind of hear her, but all the lights are out. And usually I just pass out within, a minute or so, because that's how I roll. And so I'd have all the needles in and I'd start to go to sleep. And then she'd come in, she's like, Tara. I'm like, what? She's like, I have somebody in the office and they're telling me that they're having knee problems. She goes, I want you to look into their body and tell me what you see. And this was like apropos of nothing. I didn't tell her that like, oh, I like to look into people's bodies and see like what's going on, because that wasn't even a thing that I knew that you could do. Because I was going to her, she was like the energy worker, but just like one day she was like, I need you to tell me what's going on with that person. And I was like, well, if they said they had, she goes, no, no, no. Did I tell you to repeat what I said? I said, look into their body. She says, your outwards ailment, she goes, hurt back, bad knees, poor eyesight, she says, is all a reflection of something that's going on in the inside. You tell me what's going on the inside. And I was like, okay. And I remember I was like looking into it and I was like, oh, I said, she's dealing like with a really deep depression. I was like, where she doesn't feel she can move forward. So then now I'm interested in like, so I've got like my ear to the wall after she like goes back into her office, and I know that I should be resting with my acupuncture, but I was so curious, like, what did I say like matter, So I'm like, I got my ear to the wall. And I hear her kind of mumbling, but I kind of hear them talking back and forth. And then she asks the lady, what has made you so sad? And that's when I can hear the lady bawling her eyes out. And she says, my mother passed away, and she was going on into it. And she says, and Dr. Wang was like, and how long have your knees hurt? And she said, since my mother's passing. And it was like, and so Dr. Wang never came back in to like validate anything that was like not her thing, because she said that was just for people's ego, was like when you need validation. It was just like, this is something that we do. We need to help people, and at the same time, she was very much like, people have to have a connection with, she goes, everybody, they might have a different religion or call it by a different name, but in her eyes, she was like, everybody must be connected to God, connected to the creator. She goes, if they want true healing, she says, because otherwise they're going to look for gods in other things like medication, or they're going to look for it in substance abuse, or they're going to look for it, even abusing acupuncture, thinking that is, the end all be all. So she would always mix like her spirituality in with her healing. And I bring her up, and I bring up, when you're talking about Darjeeling in India, because a lot of her friends were from India. And so they would come, and we would have like these big, like, vegetarian feasts and stuff. And I remember a lot of her friends who had these beautiful saris and everything, and they were from different parts of India. And some people were from Pakistan as well. And they were like, your name is Tara. Tara is like, it means like star. It has like a name, it means something. It's a very powerful name. And I was like, really? Because when I was growing up, my mom said I just meant dirt. Like, my name is Dirt. Well, basically the good earth, but my mom would say your name is Dirt. So I would have these wonderful conversations with them. And but anyway, so I was thinking of Dr. Wang because I just heard today from one of her three daughters that used to practice acupuncture with her, that she passed away on July 14th. And she was relatively young, like she didn't even hit 80 yet, and she had always taken really good care of herself. And so it seems that she had passed from cancer, from apparently taking in all that energy, all those years of trying to help, helping people and redirecting their energy, their chi, and helping them to heal themselves. And she absorbed quite a bit. So they believe like that was the root of the cancer was that. But so if you guys would like to send prayers to the Wang family, good juju energy, good thoughts, that would be muchly appreciated. And I remember when I was so distraught when my cat Presley had passed away, because he passed away in my arms. And I went into her office because I felt like, I don't know, like maybe acupuncture will help me feel less sad or something like that. And so I had gone in, and I was in the waiting room, and I just started bawling my eyes out in the waiting room. And so she was like, come here. She pulled me into a different room. And she says, why is your heart heavy today? And I said, well, I told her my cat just passed away like yesterday. And it was just, unexpected. He was kind of a young cat. And she started smiling, and she says, oh, well, this is a happy thing. And I was like, what are you talking about? I just lost my cat. And she says, no. You selfishly want to keep this cat away from his mission. And if his mission is to cross over and do what he needs to do, then that's what the soul needs to do. And she says, and death is really just a transition. She goes, it's no different than the moment you were born. She says, and yes, she goes, when you're born, you're crying because this is a new reality. And you just came from, heaven, from the spirit world. And she says, and so it's like, oh, she says, and then, when you transition, she says, it's those that are left behind that are now crying because they don't understand that it's just a different world. She goes, and she says, and when a soul is released from the heaviness of the body, she goes, they can do so many beautiful things. She goes, your cat is hanging out with everybody who's ever crossed over, all angels. She goes, God and Jesus. And she says, he's having a wonderful time. And here you are, sad because he's having a wonderful time. And I was like, yes. I was like, I miss him. And she says, well, she says, you always have a piece of him in your heart. She says, but you should have joy for all the memories. She goes, not just cats, but people who die. You should always have joy, all the wonderful memories you had with that person. She goes, and through that joy, you keep that energy of them alive. And that's the beautiful energy. She says, when we just focus on the death, she says, what an injustice we give to people. She was like, are you saying that their whole life only amounted to that last few moments that they were here on earth? And she was like, no, we celebrate the years and years and years, or the months that we had with that person or animal. And I was like, I didn't stop crying. Like I was still going through it, but it gave me a different perspective. And so now that it is Dr. Wang who has crossed over, although I felt immediately sad, but at the same time, I heard that voice. It was like, I am so happy. I am helping so many people. And I'm not confined to one person at a time because I was in a human form. And I was like, so that made me smile. I'm like, okay, okay. So I am appreciative for all these people that I've met along the way, including you guys. So anyway, so many like memories flowing around my head right now. And I think this tea will be just the thing I need for this time. Let me see. Let's go back to what you said. Shapeshifter says, I actually am scared to invite people outside the country to visit India because their first intro to India is Delhi, where you have to land first. Please avoid Delhi if you can at all costs. I have even heard that from my friends that do come from, different parts of India. They're like, Delhi is like Los Angeles in America. You land in Los Angeles, but there are so many other beautiful places that you probably should go. um, Lila says, nah, mom, don't be calling me out multiple personality disorders, kind of mom. Shapeshifter says, you end up with a lot of friends with MPD. What's there to complain? And she says the amount of people traumatized with Delhi. And he said, never go to Delhi, ever, unless it's to land, really, I guess. Lois says, I like being friendless IG. And Costalini says, my knees suddenly stopped hurting. I didn't even notice it, but like last week, they just stopped hurting entirely after hurting every day since around when you were starting the Savage Wild stuff. Pain every day, and then suddenly they didn't. And I didn't even notice. Wow. Just always synchronous. Every time you come in, we're just going to call you Mr. Synchronicity. You're no longer Costalini. You are just Mr. Synchronicity. Lois says, Costalini, tell me your sorcery. My heel's still ongoing. He says, have you tried cutting it off? And she said, Costalini would be a fantabulous healer in his own right. And Shapeshifter says, Lilith Costalini, guys, you two sound like two old people in a hospice. She's like, I'm a very old person out of hospice, much worse. He said, well, what else do you get compliments about? Cholesterol. I'm like, man, that cholesterol is just out of this world in a good way. Siren is here. She said, just leaving Dairy Queen. We'll talk when I'm in my room. I'm listening. All right. The Dairy Queen, the Queen of Dairies. Awesome. Let us know what you got. Anytime we treat ourselves to a little something outside my cooking skills, and we hit up I call Dairy Queen, which is DQ. I just call it disqualified. I like to go to disqualified once in a while and see what's on their like limited time menu. I don't know. I just like my ride or die is mint chocolate chip, but I do like to try other things just in case I might have somebody else who can accompany mint chocolate chip. Lois says, not yet. Shapeshifter's cracking up. Cosnolini says, and my back. Oh, all right. So, and the back is all better too? You must have stepped through a new chapter, my friend. Shapeshifter says, Tara, where you're finding all these people, can you send some of them to my reality? I was thinking about it. Sometimes I have memories and I'll remember somebody and I'm like, dude, where do I know that person? It's like I've had so many experiences. I don't know. I'm little Mrs. Magoo or whatever. I just find myself in places. I'm trying all kinds of like weird stuff. I meet people from all over the world. I don't know. It's just like my bumbling through life. I just kind of end up, meeting lots of people. And even though I can be in, I don't know, what do you call it? Like a extroverted introvert. I usually push myself to like meet new people and do new things. So like if I'll just meet somebody for the very first time, they're like, hey, do you want to like hang out tomorrow? And I literally just meet this person. And I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, well, Sure, because I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I end up not liking this person, then I don't have to hang out with them anymore. Like, I'm literally just saying if I want to continue hanging out with this person. So I'm like, sure, okay, so I'll just go to this rando's, party or whatever, what's going on. So I'm always like, okay, I always give everybody a shot. Like, okay, let's hang out. Or, hey, rando stranger who's like inviting me to some, different city or whatever. They're like, hey, let's go hang out here. I'm like, okay, cool. And if I wasn't that way, I would not be with Riley. That's how you meet the love of your life, just whatever, just go for it. Let's see. Shapeshifter says, I've been to Delhi only once, never again. He's saying hello to Siren. Costalini says, no, the back still hurts. Oh, it says Shape was asking about other complaints. I see. He said, I just had a synchronicity right now. Ooh, do tell. And Lois says, multiple people, attractor. And Shapeshifter said, Costalini, do some kip ups. That should take care of it. And then, do you actually have MPD? Lilith is like, bro. Costalini says, the day I started talking to the girl who sort of started all the spiritual stuff, I was texting her while at the gym. They were selling these bags of chips with her last name on them. Interesting. Actually, speaking of synchronicity, like a half an hour before I, was getting all set up for the live chat, I went into the refrigerator because I'm doing like a cold thing with some nectarine and peach seeds, as we are nectarines and peach. And then I get the seed out and you put it in like a moist paper towel and you just keep it in the fridge to like kind of keep it dormant until you're ready to plant in the spring. And I was looking at my nectarines, which for Dr. Wang's favorite fruit. And I have dates on all of my Ziploc bags. And so the date that I put that nectarine seed into the fridge was on July 14th. It was the day of her passing. I just thought that was an interesting synchronicity, as I just found out today of her passing, that it was on July 14th. So, who knows? I hope that little nectarine will grow in the spring when I plant it. That would be fabulous. A little Dr. Wang tree. I think that would be nice. Costalini says, they've been here every day since. I was going to ask if there were a sink today. I'm at the gym and they removed the chips. They even had TV ads for the chips every day until today. I'm feeling like interesting. So, okay. I just have to throw this out here. Okay, so think potato chips. What, basically root buds do they come from? Potatoes, right? Potatoes are always under the soil. They got to be in darkness. They actually get quite poisonous if they see sunlight. So they have to be in the soil. So here, this girl's name is on these potato chips. Potatoes represent growing beneath the surface, growing where nobody can see, growing in darkness when you don't know which way is up and if you're doing anything right. And then you said, and then just today. So it's like you just harvested those potatoes. They are out of the ground. You're into the light. So I'm just throwing that your way. You interpret that as you will, but I find that very interesting. Shapeshifter says, what's a nectarine? It's kind of sweet like a peach. And it's kind of, I don't know, it's in that kind of fruity family, like nectarines, plums, peaches, they're all very juicy. You can eat them with the skin. Nectarines sometimes can be fuzzy, but for the most part, they're not fuzzy like a peach, but sometimes people get them confused because peaches and nectarines sometimes, depending on the genus, they look exactly the same, except one is fuzzy and one is not. So nectarine is like a non-fuzzy peach, but not peach tasting. I think it's sweeter, but that's just my opinion. Siren says, I'm still walking. It's hot as hell. Someone please say something cool to me down until I'm in my room. Um, something cool. Uh, you should wear sunglasses at night. Only cool people wear sunglasses. um, Shapeshifter says, Siren, refrigerator, Coca-Cola, watermelon. Feel better? Oh, Costolini's like, boom, look at that. Okay, well, let us head out into the living room. Heck, I might even temporarily take you guys out onto the back porch because it got overcast, which means I won't, maybe it's not that hot out there. I mean, it could be fun. Plus, we could do our eye exercises outside. I think that would be even better. You should have natural light on your eyes. That's part of healing the eyes. So let's do that. Let's get into that. I am going to grab my lappy toppy here. And I'm going to grab you guys. Beep, 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 beep. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, so let me get this laptop all plugged in here. Lilith's like, I wear my sunglasses at night. So I can do. Corey Hart. Ah, yes. You guys feel free to play that song right now if you'd like. Maybe it would help cool Siren down. Lilith says, ice, ice, baby. Do, 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 do. Definitely not stolen from Under Pressure. But anyway, Shapeshifter says, looking at your earrings, I feel like shit being a man. What? Oh, Riley got me these. There's a dude out in Idlewild who does all kinds of like leather tooling, and he spent so much time with like different like native friends and stuff. And so he made these out of leather, and I was like, those look so cool. Plus, I love yellow, so and they're just like, but you know. Customer says, oh, F's. I also just noticed. So the advertisement they used to play for the bags of chips said, find them at Whole Foods, Target, etc., which was where I always tried to run into her. Universe is hilarious. Dude, so many, just your middle name is now synchronicity. I hope you know. Okay, let me go grab my tea. I'll be right back. Okay, so I had a sip of tea on the way over, and let me just say, this is now my favorite blend that I've made. So I'm going to write this down so I don't forget because I have like a little journal where I keep all like my different types of like essential oil blends I've made and tea blends and salves and basically my recipes, my concoctions. And I'm going to have to add this in with the tea blends because this is pretty freaking good. So I highly recommend Darjeeling. Let it steep for like 5 minutes or so. Take out the tea basket or your tea strainer, whatever it is, and then throw in a cinnamon stick and throw in some vanilla simple syrup, or maybe, you know, if you just want to do like a vanilla bean, like cut open a vanilla bean and put it in there and let it just stay in there and steep. It is so good. It is so good. It's like, how do I describe this? It's like smooth and creamy and vanilla-y. It's like I'm eating a cocoa autumn cookie. I don't even know how it tastes like cocoa. There is no cocoa in here. Mm, that is freaking good. Freaking good. Yay me. Thank you. Good job, self. You're welcome, self. um, let's see. Shapeshifter says, it was okay once for a man to wear earrings. Well, I mean, you know, there's a lot of cultures around the world where there's still adornment for male and female in terms of earrings. I mean, there's still a lot of like folks in the Amazon, different parts of Africa where that's like still a thing, and you know, all over the world. So it's just in some parts of like the westernized world where it's just females who wear earrings, but there is a lot of tribes that still wear them, male and female. But of course, there's symbolism to it. There's a meaning behind it. Lilith says, I have a needle and a lemon, and I'm not afraid to use it. Quick pin SS down. Shapeshifter said, no. Lilith's like, wow, literally pin him down. Dude, I remember in high school, there everybody was in their own like little cliques or whatever, but I was like a little bumblebee. I was like in everybody's clique. You know, I didn't have like I wasn't I was labelless, I guess. But you know, there was like jocks, and then there was like your socias, and then there's your greasers, and then there's your punks, and then there's the ravers, and I don't know, we had all these groups. Anyway, the group that would be labeled a punk, the boys walking around with mohawks and stuff, I remember they'd be at school because they couldn't do this at home because they would have been in a lot of trouble with their parents. But somebody would have like, they would have like an ice cube, you know, somebody would go buy a soda and then like take out an ice cube, rub it on their ear, and they get a safety pin and they're just like, whack, you know. So these guys would have these red bloody ears with like safety pins in their ears, and then somebody would have like the lemon, and oh my gosh. But it would just be like, they would think they were the coolest thing. They'd have like the giant safety pin in their ear. And it was like they were always trying to talk to you with their head turned so that you could see that they had the safety pin. They'd be like, what? What did you say? Where are you hanging out at lunch today? You know, it was, I don't know, whatevs. To be a teenager, you know. Shapeshifter says, I'm just glad you don't live anywhere close to me because I'd probably be dead from all the torture you plan for me. Lilith says, is that a mason jar with a rooster in ceramic? No. Oh, wait. This? Oh, it's meant to look like a mason jar. So it's actually like just a ceramic, but it looks like a mason jar. And yes, it has a cock-a-doodle-doo on it. Found it for 25 cents at the Goodwill. Anywho, not the Goodwill, one of the thrift stores. It was actually called the Doghouse. Shapeshifter says, I never tried vanilla syrup. Gonna try that. Yeah, just go online and type in how to make simple syrup. And then with that recipe, all you do is just throw in a little bit of vanilla extract, or you could throw in a vanilla bean and just let it simmer down, and then let it set. If you put a vanilla bean in it, just strain it out, and you have this like intense sweet vanilla concoction that you can put into coffee. You can mix into like your ice cream if you want. You can put it in all sorts of stuff, anywhere where you want sweet vanilla. And in this case, I wanted it in my tea, and it is perfect. Lila says, I wouldn't let you go so easily. It'd be a long, torturous process with Stockholm Syndrome as a cherry on top, so you'd sort of enjoy it. Saren says, made it back. When I started walking this last block, the wind picked up. Also, who said refrigerator watermelon? I love that one. Well, if the wind kicked up, fabulous, you know, always need a little air when you're dying of heat. Shapeshifter says, Lilith, that actually does sound delicious in a damaged sort of way. Siren, he's like, Siren, me. And she said, in answer to your question, Tara, I had a mint Oreo blizzard and a double cheeseburger. Ooh, I bet Riley would have a mint Oreo. In fact, is that what he had last time? I think so. Whatever their mint chocolate chip or mint Oreo it is. Sounds delish. Siren said, thank you, Shapeshifter. Costolini says, that sort of sounds like a painful infection. Oh, I'm sure a lot of folks in high school got some infections from what we did. People trying to like pierce their nose, pierce their ears with like, who knows, some non-disinfected clip or whatever, like safety pin and some lemon juice. I'm like, what? And an ice cube. Science says, my city is under heat advisory until Wednesday. Well, stay hydrated, lots and lots of water with a little pinch of salt, because if you don't have salt in your system, you can't absorb the water and it all just gets pissed out. So a little bit of salt, water. Shapeshifter says, Tara, also, I watched some of your older channeling videos. You were so awesome. Why did you stop? Well, I have mentioned before that although I truly enjoyed doing my channelings and connecting to all these, very, very interesting energies, just like that call I had to do the channelings, I feel like now the call is like, okay, all of that is out there. And now let's allow people to go inwards and start connecting in their own way, connecting to the creator, connecting to plants, connecting, to the world around them. And so that way I'm not like what you call it, the middleman. I don't want to be the middleman, I want people to start practicing direct, connection, to their spirituality, to their soul. So that's kind of why I've stepped away from that. Is just, here I am. I want to promote a sovereign lifestyle. I want people to build confidence and independence. And so one way of doing that is for me to step out of like the middleman role of like, let me do this for you. And now it's like, okay, now you try, build confidence in yourself. So that was my reasoning. But thank you. I appreciate your kind words. And Shapeshifter says, Siren, my city stopped bothering. That's that hopeless. Oh, you guys are just in flames over there, just like this. It's fine. It's fine. We're hot. My skin is literally on flames. That's fine. We're fine. Willis says, why am I being censored? You are? Freaking YouTube, stop censoring my friend. Don't censor any of my friends. For crying out loud. Shapeshifter says, what did you type? Melissa says, it's not letting me say, bwahaha, damn. See what I'm talking about? This is why I'm trying to help us build this sovereign lifestyle. So we're not, one day we're just going to be so telepathic. We're not going to need YouTube. So, Costolini says, your social credit score isn't high enough. I know, right? Scary, but true. Shapeshifter says, damn YouTube. And Siren says, I ordered from Timo for the first time. I got a Phoenix pendant. Ooh. When I first, when I first moved up to the mountains from the valley, my best friends for my birthday sent me this Phoenix pendant. It was kind of like a tongue-in-cheek because they were living in Phoenix at the time, but also they saw me going through this like transformation. So they were like, rise like the Phoenix, but don't be bloody hot like the Phoenix, like we are down here. Shapeshifter says, Siren, Timu is Chinese, I think. Be careful about your data. Yeah, that's kind of why I stayed away from like Timu and Alibaba and stuff like that, because I don't know, sometimes you just don't know what you're getting. Sometimes I hear people get some really great deals and the stuff isn't crap. But yeah, definitely always try the best you can to be protective of your privacy, since you cannot rely on companies to do that for you, because they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm protecting your privacy. Oh, here's all about Siren. Oh yeah. I mean, no, for sure, I was protecting it. Here you go. Lilith's like, I give up. Oh no! You know what? I wish I could kick YouTube's ass. I'm like, why are you messing with Lilith or anybody else? Anybody else? Let me know too if you're being censored. Because I mean, as you can tell, my hands are not on a keyboard. I swear to you, I do not censor you guys. Even if somebody was being a butthole, I wouldn't censor them unless they were being too much of a butthole. I wouldn't censor them. I just kick them out. But anyway. Costolini says, I ordered a straight razor from Temu once and that shit broke and slashed my face open while shaving. Oh, well, that's no bueno. That sucks. Siren's like, thanks, Temu. A couple of the residents order from Temu. Costolini says, be careful with that stuff. Shapeshifter says, the cabal has full control over your keyboard. And, you know, like, get off my keyboard. Like, ew. Yeah, I'm gonna wash that cabal off. Oh, well, it's like Costolini, what social credit score? I have no friends. Hey, what do we chop liver over here? Thanks. Siren says, I'm still heat exhausted. Yeah, just stay chill. Stay chill, my friend. Chill vibes. Shapeshifter says, Lilith, he means social credit score, life the Chinese government has for its citizens. Yeah, let's not adopt that. The rest of the world, let's just not adopt this whole social credit score thing. Man, this tea is freaking good. I don't want to stop drinking it. Okay. Before we get into our eyeballs today, and you might be wondering, like, why the heck are we talking about eyeballs? And if you're new to the live chat, I put out a poll, usually on Thursdays. Sometimes it might be a day later, but it's usually on a Thursday. I put out a poll to my patrons, my YouTube members, and all of my subscribers. So it goes out onto my YouTube channel's public page. And like I said, it also goes out to Patreon and YouTube members. So if you are a patron and or you're a YouTube member, you get to vote more. So more than just one vote, like my wonderful subscribers would get. So you guys voted on wanting to heal eye problems. And I know that there's like no way I can really say like what my vision was and like what it is now, because I don't have like all the optometry equipment and I do not want to see an optometrist. So but I have been helping to clear up my vision because I had like eagle eye vision. I had 2015. It was last time that I felt like seeing an optometrist, which was a while ago, when I was still teaching, actually. They said that I had a astigmatism in my right eye, but it was like my best eye. It had 2015 vision, and then my other eye was not so good. It only had 2020. And I was like, I thought 2020 was perfect vision. And the guy was like, well, or the optometrist, the guy, optometrist dude, he was like, well, 2020 is the average. That's like, it's like when we say, you know, your average body temperature, you know, they say is like this particular temperature, but that doesn't mean that's what the body temperature everybody should be at. Just like 2020 isn't like the gold standard. It isn't like what everybody should have. They said there are people who have 2015, there are people who have 2010. They said, and those are actually really, really sharp visions, but because the majority of the population who can see fairly well has 2020, we say that 2020 is a good vision. And I was like, I see. He's all but 2015 in that one eye is like really good. I was like, cool beans. And then I noticed that, and for some reason it started like in April. I know that it started April of last year. My my vision up close was like getting a little fuzzy. I was like, what the deuce? Because I've always had really good vision. And I noticed I had stopped doing my sun gazing. I had stopped doing other things that I guess were beneficial to my eyes. So I have since continued going back to those things that are beneficial to my eyes. And now my eyes are starting to go back to what they once were, which is fabulous. Of course, if you look all over the internet, they say it's impossible to heal your eyes. that you cannot do this. It's impossible. That like once your eyesight goes, it goes, and that you just need thicker and thicker prescriptions of, you know, contacts or glasses, and that that's just the way the world works. But how is it that our ancestors, their eyes were just fine? And sure, you might be like, well, because glasses didn't exist, you know, back in such and such time. But there are times in which the camera was in use, and they were taking pictures of like people who were considered pretty elderly, like at the time 60s and 70s was elderly, I guess, but into their 80s, and they were seemed to be doing tedious tasks, you know, sewing and stuff like that, just fine. You know, and yeah, so a lot has entered our, I don't know, not so good things have entered in our modern era, probably because of the modern things that we do. So I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks that you can try if you yourself are like, you know, my vision could be better. You know, maybe you got 20/20, but maybe you want some hawk vision, you know, you want some 20/15, 20/10, you know. So maybe you could try this out. Or if you are somebody who has prescription glasses, or you have glaucoma, you have cataracts, you have, you know, lots of floaters. If you don't know what floaters are, it's like when you look at a like a white wall or something, and like you see these little things float. They're like gray, but they float in your vision. And they said actually what that is um, buildup of proteins flowing through the capillaries of the eyes, and it ends up creating like almost like a ghost effect in your vision. But there are ways to break up those cells. And I'm going to talk about those now. So let's do that. Um, let's see. Lila says Tara is the only friend in the desert of cacti. But cacti are our friends as well. I don't know. I mean, sometimes they're not that good of a friend. Got to like keep your distance, but they can be friends, you know? um, Shapeshifter says Tara minus 10,000 social credits. Yep. There I went. Lilith says, you're my island of reality and a sea of diarrhea. Oh, that's so sweet. It's so poetic. I like it. I'm going to remember that. You're my island of reality in a sea of diarrhea. The siren says, I'll be careful with Timo, guys. I promise. Hey, that's what we're all here for. We're all here to just help each other out, give each other heads ups on stuff. Shapeshifter says, Lilith, don't forget your torture subject. That's even more cruel. Lilith's like, seriously, YouTube, you'll let me say that, but not the other stuff? Dude, some of this, sometimes I get censored on my own freaking channel. I'll not even type anything negative. Not that I type much negative. Sometimes I might be a little sarcastic, but you know, somebody might say something like, oh, thank you so much for the video. I'm like, you're very welcome. Heart emoji, heart emoji, heart emoji. Thanks for watching. And for some reason, YouTube will censor it, be like, no, naughty. Don't put that. I'm like, I'm sorry. I complimented somebody and said, thank you. What the deuce, man? So yes, I apologize on the behalf of the evil one known as YouTube if your comments have ever been censored or your comments have ever been deleted off of videos that I have made. Not in my control. You'd think I'd have that control, but it's a false sense of control that they say that we have with our channels. So Shapeshifter says, Siren, yep, protect yourself at all times. Lila says, are you applying? Siren says, YouTube got tired of you saying, you know what, all the time, Lilith. Lilith is like, crickets, crickets. Wait, who's applying for what? Shapeshifter says, I wonder about that too. Also, do you see how food became so different over the years? Everybody's hooked on store-bought food now. That food's responsible for most of the deficiencies. It's by design. Wholeheartedly agree. Actually, I was just talking to Riley today about butter. Like, you know, how people just like leave butter out on their table. They put it in a butter tray because it's left out on the table. Well, so we keep a thing of butter next to the toaster for people who make themselves some toast. And I noticed that the butter had mold on it. And real butter does not get mold. So I don't know what the heck is going on with butter. Apparently, the expensive, bougie, good Kerrygold grass fed Irish butter. But yeah, it went moldy. I was like, okay, well, can't trust the butter now. Looks like I'll be making more homemade butter from now, now on. What the deuce, man? Yeah, it's like if you go back to even the junk foods I had when I was, a kid in the 80s and 90s, even those junk foods are like 100 times worse for you than they were back then. And back then they were laden with sugar. Now they're laden with sugar and, who knows, some 15 syllable long chemical that I can't pronounce or even know what it is. What is polysorbitol 2050 divided by 4? I don't know. Why does it have to be in my butter? So anyway, totally feel you. This is why I'm making more and more things, more and more homemade as much as I can. And then I try to make videos on it so that I'm not saying that I make it the best way, but hopefully it's like, oh, okay, see, somebody can make it. Maybe I'll try my hand at it. I'm really just trying to put inspiration out there, and that is all. um, Lilith says SS applying as torture subject. Oh, shapeshifter, yeah. Are you applying, sir? She says, I think he'd quite enjoy it. Shapeshifter says, bro, you don't even let me apply. You took me hostage. She's like, are you complaining? He says, I don't want to. She's like, complain? Okay. I think that it is a wonderful day outside. So I am going to take you guys out briefly for some eye stuff. But I said before we do that, I want to say thank you, everybody who hangs out with us in the live chats. Thank you to our mighty moderators who wield the wrench of destiny. Thank you to my YouTube members like Costalini, who have a really cool colored wolf head by their name as they stand out howling at the moon. Shadowlands Radio, thank you. And Chang Rainbow Lotus, Jonathan Cleese, Nancy from Macron's Intuition. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also to my beautiful patrons, Carmen and Adrian, Casey Gritter, Joel, Brandy, Brian, Lily, Crystal, Easy Does It, Dana, and I have a brand new patron named MSE. So thank you so much for all of the support, all the help, and everybody who shares my videos and my weird YouTube shorts and all kinds of stuff. So thank you very much. Okay, I want to read some stuff to you guys and then we'll go outside because it's nice and we'll do some of our eye exercises since natural sunlight is what your body craves. Unlike, what was the name of that drink in Idiocracy? It was like Gatorade, and they said it's what plants crave, and like everybody drank it. Everybody's like super dehydrated and tardy. It's like, but anyway, um, yes, but sunlight is good for us. It's good for our skin. It's good for our eyeballs. It's good for our hair so that we grow lots and lots of hair. But yeah, we need that. We need that vitamin D. And sure, some of it comes in plant form, and you can get it from whole cow's milk and stuff like that. But you need vitamins in a variety of forms. So yes, you can get it in your foods, but why not get it directly from the sun as well? Let's see. Shapeshifter says, I was like, okay, let's do that. And remembered it's night where I live. Okay, moonlight, moonlight's probably good for the eyes too, maybe. Hey, it's Heather, Venusian Rose Tears. That's right. It was Brondo. Brondo, it's what plants crave. Oh my goodness. And President Camacho was like, do, everybody brought to you by Brondo. Everybody's saying hello to Heather. She said, hello, just love hitting my last break. Shapeshifter says, Venetian Rose, hey. Okay, so let's talk about some of the items I have here about healing tus ojos, your eyeballs. Okay, so first thing I want to talk about is pearl powder. And I have it in a couple of different forms here. So I actually take a pearl powder in capsule form, and these are vegetable capsules because I don't want any more chemicals in my body. So just little vegetable capsules. It's literally just pearl powder shoved into a capsule. And I take 2 of these a day, and they are 1,000 milligrams each. So technically, I'm taking 2,000 milligrams. The amount, according to a particular study that was able, using pearl powder that was able to help people's eyes regenerate, they were taking 1,500 milligrams a day. But I couldn't find one where it would like equal exactly 1,500 milligrams. So I'm basically taking 2,000 milligrams. So whatever, I'm taking an extra 500. I had started taking them once before, but I only took them for like less than a month. So I didn't really give it the old college try. And I feel like, especially with natural ways of healing, it does take a little bit longer, especially when you're doing some spiritual healing along with it, wondering why, the eyes get as they do. So I'm going to do this for a year and see how it helps, and I have been taking notes, all these little things that I try and how long I tried it for and what I noticed and everything. So I've only been taking them for a couple of weeks now, but I'm gonna give it like a year. Like I think year is a good solid like try. So 2 of these a day for my eyeballs. So, and the other form of pearl powder I have is straight pearl powder. It's in this little jar here. And that's a bunch of crushed up pearls, a lot of crushed up pearls. And also pearls because pearl is my birthstone. So I figured it kind of would jive with me. But what I do at night, every night, without exception, is I take a little bit of organic castor oil, and I mix that into this little shot glass here. And I literally just dip my finger in the castor oil pearl powder mixture, and I put a little bit on my eyelids and a little bit underneath my eyes. And I do that every night. And pearl powder is really good at pulling toxins from the body. So, if I'm taking in toxins in whatever form, maybe it's in the foods that I'm eating, maybe it's in the stuff that's raining down from the trails from the sky, maybe who knows where it's coming from, but there might be a buildup of it. So just in case, and just in case that's contributing to what's going on with fuzzy vision, although it's not so fuzzy anymore, I put it around my eyes so that at night the pearl powder could just like suck it out of my eyeballs, while I sleep, and then I wash it off in the morning. So I take my capsules during the day, and then I put pearl powder around my eyes at night. And I brought some stuff to read to you guys about pearl powder because I knew that I couldn't remember all of the numbers perfectly. So let's see. Let's go back here. Whoa. Computer went all crazy. Sirens is great. YouTube is coming after me now. I am so sorry. This way YouTube is a butthole. I'll continue saying butthole, butthole, YouTube, you butthole. Lil's like, Heather, what's learning Reiki like? And Siren says, my middle name literally means pearl. Oh, well, that's beautiful. I like that. Costaline says, damn, is your middle name Pearl? Because I don't know any synonyms for pearl. She says, no, it's Margaret. And Shapesearcher says, Siren, I don't even have a middle name. I wasn't going to have a middle name. I know there's a lot of cultures that don't do middle names. Like there are a lot of Mexican cultures that don't do middle names. There's a lot of like Filipino cultures don't do middle names. And my dad was like, not about me having a middle name. And then my mom's like, or no, not my mom, but the hospital was like, you have to put a middle name. So my mom's maiden name is my middle name. Costellina says, you learn something new every day. And Siren says, Caitlin Margaret, pure pearl. Aw, I love that. 'Tis beautiful, beautiful. Shapeshifter says, Siren, does Margaret mean pearl? And she said, yes. And Lilith says, shapeshifter, your middle name is Tiger. Lilith says, Indian Tiger to be exact. And he said, that's actually cool. Lilith is like, butthole for us. Shapeshifter says, other people in my culture have a middle name. Just me. Okay, so here we go. Pearl powder. So there was a clinical trial that was done, and it's getting harder and harder to find this critical clinical trial on the internet, because as like, you know, ways to help heal the self is put out there, you know, now that we have this AI going through everything, is whoa. We can't have people moving away from the pharmaceutical corporation. What? Healing the self? That's crazy. Can't have that. So they hide it. So I literally had to go to like the third page on Google to refine this. Anyway, so here it is. In a human clinical trial, there was a Dr. Wang, so interesting, treated 28 cataract patients with 1,500 milligrams of pearl powder 3 times daily, while also applying it topically as an eye cream. After 1 month, 66% of the patients showed visible improvement or recovery. This remarkable finding suggests that when properly nourished, the eyes have an innate capacity to regenerate. And that makes sense. You know, think about countries where people are malnourished, you know, maybe they're not getting enough food, they're going hungry, things like that. You start to notice that the body is breaking down, you know, their eyes are breaking down, they're losing their hair because they're malnourished. And now here we are in, you know, like Western countries where we have all the food, but the food, as Shapeshifter was just talking about, is now lacking the nourishment it once had. Sure, like it tastes good, you know, and you know, we might feel full maybe after some of the things that we eat, but it doesn't have anything nutritious, or very few things might have, you know, nutritious things in it that's actually aiding our skin, actually aiding our hair, actually aiding our eyeballs. So we may have all the food and we may say that we're not going hungry, that we're very well fed, but are we though? Like it's basically like food full of nothing, you know, and and that could be why we see more disease. Of course, it's a whole layer. I know there are probably a whole lot of reasons why there's more dis-ease. But yeah, it just a lack of spiritual nourishment, a lack of food nourishment, a lack of human connection nourishment. So sure, we're going to see a breakdown in our physical form, in our skin, in our bones, in our eyes, in our hair. And so I totally understand that, the whole like, well, let's give our eyes something to feed on. You know, let's help them out a little bit. Okay, it says the eyes require roughly 25% of our daily nutritional intake. It's quite a bit, a whole quarter of what you eat. When deprived of minerals, amino acids, and structured hydration, they begin to degrade. Pearl powder offers a whole spectrum of eye nourishing nutrients, bioavailable calcium carbonate, magnesium, selenium, and trace amino acids that support the retina, lens, and optic nerves. And of course, there are also herbs, you know, teas that you can drink that, or tinctures that help to rebuild like nerve endings, that help to rebuild connective tissue, kind of like some of the tincture that I made for Riley, which he thinks tastes really disgusting, but I know is really good for his back because it's going to help rebuild new, you know, pathways in terms of like nerves and, you know, muscle and things like that. So the same for our eyes. So any herbs that you know of, and you guys could put that in the chat, that are really good for rebuilding things, like rebuilding connective tissue, or rebuilding things after injury. They're also good for our eyes, you know, any place that we might feel some degradation in our bodies. It says when you pair that nourishment with a lifestyle balance, meaning reducing your exposure to LED lights, you know, if you've ever pointed a camera at an LED light, or somebody's headlights that are LED headlights on their car, and how they like flash really fast because the our eyes don't see the flickering, but our camera lenses are not quite like our eyeballs, so everything's kind of slowed down just a little bit, you know, like the frames per second, so that's why it can actually perceive the flash. And imagine that's going on all day, every day. You know, you're inside, indoors with these LED lights, which are apparently energy saving, but you got this like flash of light, and it's usually in a blue spectrum. It's not in a like amber colored spectrum, which is getting away from natural lighting, like candles are like a amber colored spectrum. The sun is more of an amber colored spectrum, but like our cell phones are blue light, and the bulbs that we put in our homes and houses are blue light. The ones put in cars now are blue light, and so we got all this like uneven spectrum, and so like now our eyes are getting affected. So I don't know, up to you guys if you want to change out your LEDs for incandescents again. And sure, incandescents take up more wattage, but it's better for your eyes in the long run. Also, Wi-Fi frequencies, excessive screen time, as here we are in a live chat looking at this screen. But you don't have to look at me. You could just listen to the live chat. That's fine. It says you help reduce oxidative stress and restore the natural wavelength balance the eyes need to thrive. There's a few books that you guys can take a look at, such as The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Furstenberg and Health and Light by Dr. John Ott, which explore the environmental influences on ocular and systemic health. Pearl powder works beautifully when you combine it with castor oil, as I mentioned there before, which acts as a carrier to draw pearls over 30 trace minerals deep into the skin. For convenience, it says you can mix your own blend. I kind of taught you guys how to do that. So it'd be like 1 teaspoon of pearl powder and 1 tablespoon of castor oil, and just like mix it up and just gently, don't jab yourself in the eye, but just gently around the eyelids and underneath your eye, you know, like in the soft parts here, just whoop, 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 whoop. About 40 minutes before you go to bed, and then wash it off in the morning. And it's just kind of become habit with me now. So as soon as I wash my face at night, I just put my little pearl powder castor oil on, and I'm usually in bed within like 40 minutes to an hour. It says another thing that you can pair with pearl powder is lion's mane mushroom for a full spectrum eye and nerve support. Lion's mane, which as you guys know is fabulous. Some people take lion's mane capsules, some people put it in their tea, and it's known for its nerve regenerative properties, while pearl powder complements it by supporting tissue and mineral balance. Together, they nurture both the optic nerves and structural integrity of the eyes. And then there's this guy, he has a YouTube channel. His name is Matt, and he's also on Instagram, and his YouTube and his Instagram are called Cultivate Elevate. But his name's Matt. He's in like Scottsdale, Arizona. And he says, we're self-regenerating beings. When you feed the eyes, they can heal. When you neglect them, they begin to fall apart. I mean, that makes sense. It says the holistic massage, you know, doing this around the eyes with your pearl powder and your castor oil extends beyond humans. There are people who have said that they've given it to their pets. You know, sometimes as pets get older, you might notice that their eyes start getting cloudy, their vision gets poor, and some people have started putting like pearl powder around their dog or their cat's eyes, and they have noticed improvement in their vision, in dog vision, in cat vision, as well as humans. So it's not just for us, but it works for animals as well. It says there's pet owners worldwide who have shared stories of pearl powder helping their animal develop brighter eyes and glossier coats because it delivers essential minerals in bioavailable form and supports vitality in all living beings. So that could be something that you guys want to take a gander. For me, when it comes to pulling toxins out of the body, my go-to, and I'm not saying this is the only herb, like just like lion's mane, really good for you, but my like detoxifying herb is dandelion, and dandelion grows abundantly. People call it a weed, but you could use the flowers, you could use the leaves, you can use the roots. Literally all parts of the dandelion plant can be utilized, and it just depends on your preference. I like to use the root. I don't know, it's just my jam. But I like to do that for like detoxing heavy metals and stuff because I don't want that in my eyeballs. Oh, by the way, I don't put this in my eyes. I make a tea with it. So just so you know, just in case people are like, well, Tara told me that dandelion was good for your eyes. So I just like poured it in my eyeball. Don't do that. Okay, let's go back. Wow. You guys were Siren says, before I was adopted, I had two middle names. My brother has two middle names, actually. Costa Lee says, my middle name's Austin, and I ended up moving to Austin. Guess that's a synchronicity. Lilith is like, were you created in Austin? Siren says she is Caitlin Marie Dawn. And Heather says, just Delta with an old hole who told me to shut up and told me ignorant, miserable old man. Oh, my goodness. And Shapeshifter said, Siren, that's actually a cool name. Lilith's cracking up with Heather. Costalini says, Dr. Wang feels like more of a urologist name. Perhaps. And Shapeshifter says, I actually only had junk food like 3 times my entire life. And Siren says, Caitlin was how it was spelled before I was adopted. It's Caitlin now with the C, meaning pure. Marie means star of the sea. Dawn is obvious. And Shapeshifter says, Costalini, naughty, naughty. This is Siren. I didn't know those names even had meanings. Thanks for telling me, dude. And Costalini says, I'm just saying, if I needed a urologist, I'd probably want a Dr. Wang. It's a very reassuring name, you know. Siren said, all names have meanings. And she says, Costalini, I'd feel violated. Not sure about that, but maybe. This is Shapeshifter. Costalini says, would you prefer Dr. Accident or Dr. Shaky Hands? Oh, yes, Dr. Shaky Hands. Could you do my heart surgery, please? Siren says, for example, both names Alexander and Gideon mean warrior. So Alec from Shadowhunters was basically turned warrior or named warrior twice. Cool. Shapeshifter said, I hope I have more options than Tat. Costalini says, I'm not sure how healthcare works in India, but I suspect it's your insurance's decision. And he said, cool, gonna check Shadowhunters now. Wait, hold on. Oh, there we go. Siren says, furthermore, Tara means hill and Riley means meadow. Sounds like a good pairing, right? Yeah, Tara. Tara means star in, I believe, in Hindi, and it does mean hill. It's a type of hill in Ireland. It's a quote unquote magical hill where the fairies play. So it is. You could actually look up the hill of Tara in Ireland. It also means the high tower. It also means the good earth. You know, Tara is derived from Terra, Terra, or tierra in Spanish, you know, which is earth. So yeah, cool stuff. But when you pair it with my last name is basically the land of Egypt, which is interesting. And Shapeshifter says, Siren, that's cool because in my culture, Tara is a goddess, a form of Shakti. Whoa, cool beans. This says, I actually didn't know that Americans had names like Tara. It's not super common. I don't come across a lot of other Taras. And when I do, I'm like, whoa, hello, that's my name. So,
a friend named Tarek. And that's
oh, yes. Oh, okay. So Riley has a friend named Tarek, and his name means piercing star with the light that breaks through, or it also means warrior. Cool beans. Tarek is a cool name. Let's see. Siren said, yes, I'm familiar with the goddess Tara. Shapeshifter says, where is Lilith, though? I hope she's not in, like, YouTube purgatory somewhere. Heather says, retail is all I'm saying. Lilith's like, staring at the inside of my eyeballs. Let's see. Shapeshifter says, Tarek, I think is Arabic. Is it? What? Well, I mean, Riley would know. What cultural background is Tarek? Tarek spelled Tarek. Nom, 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 nom. Okay, let's grab this little book here. Let's get into some more eyeball-y stuff. Boop and boop. Man, that tea is delicious. Shapeshifter says, Tara, look up Tara, your divine counterpart. Oh, I have. I remember my friend Mei Jing Wang, Dr. Wang. I remember she was like, Tara, you know that you are a goddess. There's many colors to Tara. She says there's green Tara, blue Tara, black Tara, white Tara, red Tara. She, she says there's many um, personalities, kind of like Lilith was talking about multiple personalities. I guess that's me because I'm also a Gemini. So, um, but yeah, I was like, so yeah, I liked looking up the all the various meanings and forms of Tara. I found that fascinating. It's a good name. I think my parents did good. Wasn't my mom's first choice. She wanted me to be a Bridget. I don't think I look like a Bridget. I'm glad my dad did Tara at the last minute while my mom was incapacitated after I was born. Siren says, a black, I haven't heard of Black Tara. Yeah, she's in a lot of different colors. Black Tara is not like normally used because it's a mixture. I think it's in Hindi, but it's also in um gosh, it's been so long since I used to talk about this with Dr. Wang. But she's was from Taiwan, and so there was like oh man, why can't I remember? It's a particular type of spirituality that's practiced in like different parts of China and Taiwan that also like follow a type of goddess Tara. And actually, there was like paintings of her like all over her office, along with Kuan Yin. And sometimes people felt that Kuan Yin was also like a different form of Tara, or Tara was like an offshoot of her. So I thought that was interesting. Um, Lilith says it explains why we are friends. Taoism, you might be right. I think it was Taoism, but yeah. So yeah, it's fascinating. I always liked reading about all this stuff. And Lilith says, your MPD are friends with my MPD. Now I understand why we call, when we call, we're able to fill hours with it feeling like minutes. I know our different personalities just take over and just have fun. So it's like having 1,000 phone calls in one. All right, y'all. I'm going to leave the laptop in here, but I'm going to go outside briefly. Wait, hold on. There's a couple more things I wanted to read, and then let's go do our physical eye exercises. So you learned about pearl powder. You don't have to try all of these things. I'm just putting it out there. If it's something that interests you and you're thinking, instead of upgrading my prescription, my eyeglass prescription, I mean, it doesn't hurt. Take some pearl powder, give it a try, do a little castor oil and pearl powder, see how it goes, or maybe start drinking more teas or more foods that are really good at detoxifying, heavy metals from the body or toxins from the body. Just could give it a try. I don't know. Okay. So, all right. So here are some suggestions, a couple of suggestions people have about also other things that you could do to help your eyeballs. So drink less coffee, says Jay Cohen, OD, Associate Professor of the State University of New York College of Optometry in New York City. Wow, that's a mouthful. One study about 10 years ago looked at caffeine and the effect it has on the focusing system of the eye, and it's a negative effect. Other sources of caffeine to avoid, according to Dr. Cohen, include tea, chocolate, and cola, as well as many pain relievers. Now, because I love me some tea and I love me some chocolate, I can see how things in excess, maybe coffee in excess, tea in excess, chocolate in excess, sodas in excess, anything in excess, of course, is going to have a detrimental effect on the body. So if you actually look into the studies that they're talking about where they say that this could have an adverse effect with your vision, They were also studying people who have a very, very dependent habit on tea and coffee and chocolate. And it's black teas, by the way, the ones with lots of tannins in them. So I don't know. There could be a correlation there. He also advises eating an overall healthy diet that relies more on fresh fruits and vegetables than on refined sugars and high cholesterol animal products. My feeling is you should have the best possible diet for the best possible vision. Now, however, when it also comes to animal products, of course, there are many doctors say, oh, you can't eat tons of red meat. That'll give you high cholesterol and a bad heart and this and that. But there are so many, I mean, although albeit repressed on the internet, testimonies of people who like that's been their diet their whole life is just strictly eating meat, no refined sugars, no processed foods, like literally just red meat, like not meat and potatoes, literally just red meat. And they look healthy. They rarely get sick. They have healthy cholesterol levels. So I don't know. It could be an old wives' tale about that whole don't eat lots of meat. Don't do that. Anyway, this is my feeling is you should have the best possible diet for the best possible vision, says Dr. Cohen. Foods that are high in carotene, such as broccoli, kale, cauliflower, peas, beets, green beans, Brussels sprouts, and cabbage are especially good. Yes, vitamin A, which part of vitamin A is beta carotene, really good for the eyes. They've always talked about be a little rabbit, eat carrots. They're good for your eyeballs. Our body actually has a hard time absorbing all of that beta carotene. So we get a very minuscule amount of beta carotene from our fruits and veggies. And do you know what has a high amount of beta carotene in it, which is readily absorbed by the body? Red meat. Interesting, huh? But they never noted. They don't mention that. Anyway, vitamin and mineral therapy, a daily supplement that contains vitamin C, vitamin E, and beta carotene can also help minimize vision problems associated with aging, such as farsightedness, says Dr. Jay Cohen, OD Associate Professor at the blah, 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 blah. Many studies show that people who take antioxidant vitamin supplements are at a much lower risk of developing age-related changes in the eyes. So, something to take into consideration. All right. Let's go back here. Costolini says, my Scottish dad wanted to call me Angus Murdoch, but my mom said no. He'll get bullied to death. Angus Murdoch. Wow. That would be an interesting name. I mean, either you're going to be really famous or really weird. So, or weirdly famous. But cool. I mean, Murdoch. Murdoch is actually a pretty cool name. And I knew an Angus, but Angus was a dog. But anyway, Lilith is like 6 hours later. Shapeshifter says, Lilith, with MPD, you're never alone. She says, was I ever alone? The Shapeshifter says, Costolini, I'd bully you as a kid if I had that name. I remember when my parents were going over like my brother's name, my dad was like, I want his name to be Kelly. My mom's like, I don't want him to have a girl's name. He says, it's not a girl's name, it's a boy's name. My mom's like, I want him to be Andrew after my grandpa Andy. He says, Andy? I don't want him to be named Andy Pandy. Get beat up at school. It was just so funny trying my parents trying to find out ways to make fun of the names that they were coming up with, because they were trying to like play devil's advocate of like, what would the kids like make fun of with this name, and they were trying to find a name that he would get bullied with the least. It was interesting. Siren says, how about I type out a celebrity name by meaning alone and you try to figure out who it is? Sound good? Yeah, if you guys want to join in on that, you could do that too. Shapeshifter says, Lilith, at least you don't have schizophrenia. Lilith says who? Actually, in all seriousness, schizophrenia, like auditory schizophrenia, visual schizophrenia, man, those are some heavy duty disorders. My cousin had that. No bueno. Heather says, did you know that by putting casserole on top of your eyelids, it helps flush your lymphatic system? A casserole? I did not know that. I guess I would eat a casserole and then I would put the leftovers maybe on the eyelids. Depends on the casserole. What kind of casserole? Um, Shapeshifter says, Lilith, oh no. Oh, castor oil. I was like, casserole? It depends on the casserole. Why am I putting casserole? Yes, castor oil. Very good. Lilith says, why do you think I'm interesting? And Shapeshifter says, Siren, I wouldn't know much about celebrities, actually. Don't know about others. And Heather said, casserole. My goodness. I mean, we could try a casserole. Maybe it could be a good casserole. If it's good for the gut, it might be good for my eyes. I don't know. Siren says, it's okay, Shapeshifter. I'll provide hints. I'm sure the others will help you. And Shapeshifter said, go again. And she said, Descent hidden. He's a singer and an actor. Shapeshifter says, I actually stopped eating years ago. Oh, really? Heather's like, lamb's quarters has tons more than carrots. That too. Shapeshifter says, Siren, I already failed. By the way, I meant stopped eating red meat. Yeah, I was like, you stopped eating years ago. Like, what kind of enlightened energy are you in? Do share, please. Siren says, do the rest of you have an idea? And he said, I actually had a neighbor who had schizophrenia. He died when he was 25. He was a very nice person. Oh, that's so sad to hear. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's I feel like it's because not a lot is known really. I mean, they have medications, they say, for schizophrenia, but I feel like there's a lot of spirituality that's tied into it. Like, although I believe my cousin when she said she would hear things that we couldn't hear, and just because we couldn't hear it doesn't mean that it's not there. So I don't know if it was her energy tapped into a particular frequency that would have her do harm to herself, you know, because oftentimes it seems like it's a negative thing, the things they're seeing, the things they're hearing. Not always, but it's just, you know, been my experience with people who suffer from it. So I don't know if it I feel like she was open to certain energies, and perhaps those energies, that the only thing she focused on maybe was like, it was a negative, really negative energy. And so like doctors not being totally spiritual, or like, it's not that she's tapping into some 4D energy, you know, saying really nasty things to her, but it's just a disorder of the mind. So they put her on all this medication, which didn't help at all. It didn't make her auditory schizophrenia go away. All it did was, one of the side effects was being suicidal, being depressed, which is what she had. She was depressed. She was suicidal. So I don't see those medications being that helpful. Not to say that some can't aid in a way, but long-term dependency on something, I'm like, that's just treating a symptom. Like, what's at the core? So I think that the more in this age of Aquarius that we are in, as more comes to the surface, perhaps we'll learn even more about schizophrenia. Like, what, spiritually speaking, like, what is it? What is it that they are hearing? What dimension is that coming from? You know? Siren says, Tara, do you have an idea? I do not. And also I'm pretty poor with names when it comes to celebrities, and I don't know that many celebrities. My majority of celebrities that I might know might come from the 80s and 90s, because then I stopped paying attention after that. Shapeshifter says, do you know some yogis just live on sunlight and air? I've heard of that, actually. And Siren said, he's a singer and an actor, and I mentioned him last week. Jared Leto? I don't know. I'm just taking a guess. Lulu says, could schizophrenia be spiritual warfare? I mean, it could be a possibility. I wouldn't say no. I mean, because what do I know? You know? Shapeshifter says, I actually don't think it's an illness. I think we're just ignorant about how to teach people to handle it. I agree with that too. I can get behind that. Costellini says it's called breatharianism is a thing. I met a guy who was a breatharian for a while. He gave up. Yeah, I hear there are people that do it. I don't know. I mean, I know there are people that don't eat so often, like they eat just like maybe a few times a week. There was a point where I was only eating like once a day. I mean, you can train your body to do a lot of things, and food is energy. And if you can find a way to just eat energy, um, interesting. Um, Shapeshifter says, Lilith, it could be that I think these people can't turn off their lives on other dimensions like we can. And he's like, yep, Costolini, you can't be a breatharian in a city. You need incredibly fresh air. I would think so. Yeah, can't do it in LA for sure. Siren says he started in the 90s, and she said, yes. Lilith says, I went through spiritual warfare before, and I feel it came close to something, meaning permanent confinement. And Heather says, I've heard most people who are schizophrenic are tapped into other dimensions considered by shamans, but it's also a form of spiritual psychosis. Interesting. And Costolini says, but shapeshifter, the data centers need that air. Yeah, they need all the fresh water and that air so that they can. Well, some people say that the data centers, although maybe also being ways that they're collecting info on everyone and everything, right down to what's going on inside our bodies. But some people feel like since they're such massive facilities that they're actually the cover up of what's going on below the facility, that it might be, all those underground bunkers for the elite, that they might be directing all the fresh water down there. And I don't know, anything could be a possibility. Siren said Jared means descent and Leto means hidden. Oh, Shapeshifters Costalina, data center lives matter. And Costalina says, that's right. They have just as much of a right to the air and land as we do. Also, my portfolio needs the data centers. Shapeshifters like, no. Okay. So let's head outside. I'll come back in and I'll see your comments in a bit, but let's do some exercises. It's not going to take the wind out of you. They're not hard exercises. They're eyeball exercises. Lilith is like rewriting water consciousness. That's probably what they're doing. Wouldn't put it past them. Probably already doing that. Schmoes. Okay, let's go outside. It looks nice out there. Actually, let's go out here. Let's go to the back porch. Here we go. Ah, yes. 'Tis nice. You might even see some little hummingbirds go by. Okay. It's actually quite nice out here. Very nice. All right. So, well, there's cloud cover, so I can't really see the sun right now. But you can do sun gazing. Sun gazing is a thing. There are a lot of testimonials out there about sun gazing. There's a lot of people who've done their own independent research with sun gazing. But of course, if you were to Google, is staring at the sun good for your eyes? They're going to be like, no, don't do that. Bad for you. Just like you shouldn't exercise too much, or you shouldn't eat red meat, or you shouldn't do this. What you should do is hang out near a data center, and you should totally eat processed food, and you should totally be dependent on pharmaceuticals because there's no money being exchanged there. Okay, so sun gazing. I'm just going to read a little bit. According to Hira Ratan Manek, a researcher and sun gazer, the sun is the main source of energy energizing our brain. This is true that as sunlight, not saying in the middle of the day I'm directly looking at the sun. We'll get to that, what times of day are best. But when sunlight enters the eyes are sending that information to the brain. The brain is sending that information to your thalamus. It's sending it to your pituitary glands. It's sending it, on your pineal gland. It's sending it all over, sending all these messages so that your body can adjust to the amount of sunlight that is out there. So different parts of the body need that sunlight because we're born on Earth, right? So that's part of like being a human being, is you need that sunlight. And we need it for our skin. We need it for our hair. A lot of people that have noticed that, they might have thinning hair and they're trying to like see how they can get more hair. A lot of it is just go out into the sun, get some sun on that scalp. Yes, you can take vitamin D supplements, you can take all these supplements, but why not get it straight from the source? It's like, I'll give a gardening example. It's like when I'm watering the garden and the plants like it, but when water is raining down from the sky and they get that rain, that's when my plants explode. It's like coming straight from the source. Whereas, yes, we have a well and I'm putting like literal well water on the plants and it's good for the plants. It's got lots of minerals, but that's the rainwater that has gone down. It's like filtered through the dirt and it's gone, down into the water table. But this is like pure stuff coming straight from the sky and the plants love it. Plants crave it. So yeah, the sun is what our bodies crave. When we wake up in the morning, when your eyes are all like kinds of blurry and stuff like that, we get an accumulation of cells. It's not something you can actually see when you look in the mirror, but there is an accumulation of cells over the eyes. And it's just a way for your eyes to protect itself during the day. As you go about, your day, you get, little cell buildup, But, the next day you wake up, you got all this cell buildup, you go out into the sun, the sun burns it off, gets rid of all that. But the more we stay indoors as humanity is more indoors these days, indoors at the computer, indoors at work. So many times we're indoors, we're under these like artificial lights, fluorescence or LEDs or whatever it may be. And our eyes aren't getting that chance to get pure sunlight to burn off those little cell buildups, which is not bad. It's not bad to have cell buildup, but when it never has a chance to get burned off by natural sunlight, then it gets built on top of each other. The next day there's more cells, next day there's more cells, and all of a sudden it gets harder and harder to see. And in Western culture, it's all about treating the symptoms instead of the cause. And so treating the symptom is just to give you glasses and keep giving you stronger and stronger glasses. It's like, giving somebody a crutch and just giving you a stronger and stronger crutch instead of figuring out why are they having trouble walking? Like, let's find the root cause here. Also, when it comes to our eyeballs and when sunglasses got introduced and how we have these polarized lenses now and these fancy sunglasses and everything. Well, the sunglasses are now filtering a lot of that light from the sun. And so now our body doesn't know how to regulate itself for the amount of sunshine that's outside. So people started noticing that they were burning. Now I'm getting sunburns and they think, well, it's because the sun's really bad. No, you're wearing sunglasses and your eyes are trying to tell your brain how bright it is outside, how hot it is outside. And because the sunglasses are making it seem like it's darker than it really is, it doesn't know how much melanin to put out there to help protect your skin. So sure, there are people that can stay out longer in the sun than others. You have to just kind of like check, okay, but let's say that I was very fair skinned and without sunglasses, I can stay outside, let's say 20 minutes before I start to burn. But if I have sunglasses on, I might be able to stay outside maybe 5 minutes before I start to burn. And then I blame the sun for it. It's really like we're putting a little barrier up for our eyes have all this information. Even people who are born blind, their eyes are still transmitting information, even if it's not visual information. So there's that. Let's see. Okay, so all right, sun gazing. It says the gazing is therefore the only way where you receive this energy that is essential to the human body. So it helps you to concentrate. According to a 2014 study, focused attention meditations such as sun gazing can help people who struggle to concentrate or have short attention spans. It helps them with that, because you're doing it for a little bit. You're just gazing, but you're doing it at times where the sun is low in the sky. So just at sunrise, just at sunset, when it's very low, not when it's high and pretty potent during the middle of the day. Okay, vitamin D production. The sun's rays consist of ultraviolet B rays, or UVB. Once the sun gets exposed to that, there will be more vitamin D produced in the body. If you have enough vitamin D, you can strengthen your immune system, lower your risk of having type 2 diabetes, fight other types of cancer, improve bone development, and help your skin glow. So that's another thing. So in the 60s, all this thing with like sunscreen came out, because people were just like out in the sun, just enjoying the sun. People couldn't get enough sun. They're out in their bikinis and stuff like that. And then I was like, no, 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 the sun's dangerous. You should put the sunscreen on. Well, lo and behold, years later, after people slathering themselves with this chemical that's supposed to block the sun, now we have cancers like melanoma and basal cell carcinoma on our skin, and people are like, oh, it's the sun gave you that skin cancer, sun bad. It can't possibly be the chemicals that we're slathering onto our skin and then baking it in with the sun while wearing sunglasses. I don't know, just could be synchronicity. I don't know. Okay, serotonin production. Exposure to sunlight can also affect the release of a hormone called serotonin, also known as the feel-good hormones. Serotonin helps you manage your mood, focus, and calmness. So yes, although sometimes, we can't help but work indoors, we should at least try our best to get outside and get breaks, like, maybe on your lunch break or, whatever, your smoke break, whatever, go outside, get a little sunshine. I like to close my eyes and just point it up to the sun, just get that sun on my face. I'm like, feels so nice. And then your mood gets lifted. No wonder people are all depressed working indoors all the time. Melatonin production. Aside from serotonin, sun gazing also improves how the pineal gland functions. That's the gland responsible for the production of melatonin, or the hormone responsible for sleep. If you practice sun gazing for at least 30 minutes every day, you may notice an improvement in your circadian rhythm, resulting in better quality sleep. Sun gazing and exposure to sunlight may reduce chances of myopia or nearsightedness, especially among children. Regular sun gazing during sunrise and sunset may also promote better eye health. During those times, the UV index is at its lowest and won't typically cause damage to the eyes. Schedule sun gazing within 30 minutes during sunrise and another 30 minutes before sunset, so it would be twice a day. During these times, the UV index is at its lowest, thus it is safe for the eyes to stare at the sun. They are also ideal to start and end your day. I mean, what a fun ritual that would be. So here we go. Let's pretend you guys are the sun, and I'm looking at all you beautiful, bright people right now. So I'm going to pick my spot wisely. I have picked a wonderful spot right here. Choose an ideal spot where you are in a direct hit of the sun's rays. You can go to an open area or higher ground, but you should stay away from the roof just because of radiating heat. If possible, do it on the beach, on a grass plain, or anywhere with soil ground. Some sun gazers believe that being barefoot can make the result more effective, as you are more connected to nature. And I am barefoot right now. Don't wear sunglasses. Standing in an open area where you have a better view of the sun is not enough if you do sun gazing while wearing sunglasses. Or if you're wearing contacts, eyeglasses, take those glasses off. Let's go au natural. Get your eyeballs nice and naked. The glass or the lens may filter the sun's rays. In the same way, make sure you are not also behind any windows or glass panes. Sun gazing requires direct eye contact with the sun, so make sure that nothing will block off your vision. Time your gaze properly. If it is your first time sun gazing, stare into the sun again 30 minutes before sunset, 30 minutes before sunrise when it's low in the sky. Stare into the sun for at least 10 seconds. So don't try for a full 30 minutes your first go. You're going to be like, but 10 seconds. Just start 1,001, 1,002. And I would just be like I said, imagine you guys are the sun. I just focus on my breathing. I let my focus go soft, kind of, like I'm going into a full-on meditation, and I'm just staring into the beautiful sun. Over time, you can increase your time by 10 to 15 seconds. So if I stared at you guys, the sun, for 10 seconds today. Tomorrow, I'll stare for 20 seconds. The day after, 30 seconds, So an extra, I would just keep tacking on 10 or 15 seconds. Make sure to not exceed 30 seconds. If you pass the sunrise, the UV index will increase. Whilst at sunset, there is not enough light to gaze at. So yeah, I like to just go for 30 seconds. Some people actually go for a whole minute. I've always just capped it at 30 seconds, at sunrise, 30 seconds at sunset. And I literally, if you guys remember Susie Gemini, she had done sun gazing for years, and she wore glasses, and she went in to see her optometrist because she felt like her glasses, like she needed a stronger prescription. She was like, I guess this sun gazing isn't working because every time I look through my glasses, it's like I think I need a stronger prescription. So she goes to the optometrist, and the optometrist was like, you don't need a stronger prescription, you need a lighter prescription. He's like, how did your eyes are not supposed to be able to regenerate. Like, what is happening? Like, his mind was blown. And she's like, oh, I've been sun gazing. He says, you can't do that. That's not beneficial for the eyes. You're really going to hurt your eyes. You're going to kill your vision. She's like, but I kind of just healed my vision. And he was like, but, and was like, cannot compute, does not make sense. You literally just came in and like your eyes were healed, but then you're doing things that are not supposed to heal your eyes. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, I know people who've done the sun gazing, and they've been able to see a measurable difference where they go see their optometrist. They have a particular eye prescription. They do some sun gazing for like a year, 2 years, who knows. They go back to their optometrist. Now they need less of a prescription, or they don't need glasses anymore, or their cataracts they had gone, the, other eye issues they had going, floaters in their eyes gone. And optometrists are just like, what is happening? This is impossible. I am looking at something that should not exist. Okay. Change your angle if it's too bright. So if you're like looking at the sun, you're like, oh, I don't know, that's like too bright for my eyeballs. You might have to change your angle. Again, make sure the sun is low in the sky. As soon as you stare at the sun and you find it is too bright, you can change your focus to it by 15 degrees to either side. If you feel that your eyes are slowly adjusting to the brightness, you can slowly focus on the sun again. You should also relax and blink from time to time to avoid getting your eyes strained. So yeah, you don't have to be like into the sun, don't forget to blink from time to time. In case it is cloudy, like right now, and the sun is hiding, you can still practice sun gazing. Try to locate the position of the sun where it is hiding behind the clouds and stare at it. The benefits you receive will remain the same. Good to know. So I cannot do my sun gazing right now. Let's show you guys, because it is up there right now behind some clouds, and actually behind the house a little bit. And it's a little too high in the sky. The sun is actually going to set right where that barn is, kind of right over there. And so when it's about, for me, at the barn's like roof height, that's when it's low enough in the sky for me, and that's when I like to do a little gazing. Now, over to the east over here, where our neighbors are, when the sun is just coming up over their roof, that's also when it's a good time for me to do my sun gazing. So I kind of keep things at roof level. That's just like my my reference of like when is a good time. So you could pick references like that for yourself as well. Okay, so there is that. Now let's do some exercises. Eyeball exercises. Don't worry, you don't need weights. You're not going to get tired. This is not cardio. Okay, so there are some eye exercises you can do along with your pearl powder, along with your sun gazing, along with, stuff that you're doing to detox stuff in your body. Trying to get outdoors as much as you can so you get that natural sunlight on your skin, on your scalp, filtering into your eyes. Here's some other things you can do. So this is called a distancing exercise. What I'm going to do is, let me scoot back. I'm going to have my left hand in my lap, and I'm going to place my right hand out in front of me, palm up, and I'm going to face my palm towards my face, and I'm going to lift my index finger. You can lift your middle finger at yourself if you want, but index finger. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus my eyes on my finger, and then I'm going to focus my eyes on my cell phone, which is just behind my finger here. And then I'm going to focus my eyes on the house, which is just beyond the cell phone, so that you have 3 points of focus. So finger, just beyond, furthest beyond. So find 3 varying points of distance to focus on, and do this 5 times. So I'm going finger, cell phone, house, cell phone, finger, finger, cell phone, house, cell phone, finger. And I'm going back and forth doing it 5 times. When you've done it 5 times, now your right hand goes in your lap, left hand out, raise it up, index finger. Again, you choose the finger you want, but I'm doing the index finger. And so I'll focus on my finger, I focus on you guys, and then I focus on the house. And then back to the cell phone, back to my finger, back to the cell phone. Probably, maybe, because cell phone emits a lot of blue light, you want to try to use something that's not your cell phone. But in this case, you guys are the next closest thing behind my finger. So you're going to do that 5 times. Okay, so 5 times with your right hand, do it 5 times with your left hand. That'll be a total of 10 times for the distancing exercise. So just like you're adjusting the focus on a camera, you're adjusting that focus with your eyeballs. You're getting it to practice focusing, because during the day, we're mostly just having a singular focus. I'm just like looking straight ahead, maybe up and down on my cell phone. So my eyes aren't moving a whole lot. If you're stuck at a computer all day, your eyes aren't moving a whole lot. But think about our ancestors that were out freaking hunting, foraging, doing stuff. They're looking all over the place. They're looking in the distance. They're looking close. So they're moving their eyes, just like we got to move our bodies. They say, if you're just, sitting there, you can't expect your muscles to stay strong and svelte if you're not working them out. So the same with your eyeballs. It's like it's a muscle. So they got to move around. They got to do stuff. Okay, so there's that exercise. The next one is to do verticals and horizontals. So I want you to look all the way to the right. Don't move your head, move your eyeballs all the way to the right, then slowly all the way to the left, and do this 5 times. To the right, to the left, to the right, to the left. Again, 5 times. And then we're going to go up and down. So again, don't move your head. Eyeballs up and down. It's kind of like a sobriety test, I guess. Eyeballs up and down. Doesn't have to be fast. We're not going, la, la, la. So just up and down, like wax on, wax off, at that kind of rhythm. And you're going to do that 5 times. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is diagonals. So I'm going to look, without moving my head, looking up to the far right. So up and to the right, and then as slow as molasses, down and to the left, up and to the right, down and to the left, up and to the right, down and to the left. And you do that 5 times. We're going to do it to the other side too. So up and to the left, down and to the right, up and to the left, down and to the right. So again, you're going to do that 5 times. Next, we do circles. So, the Valley Girl eye roll, like, please. Do some Valley Girl eye rolls. We're going to go first clockwise, and then we'll go counterclockwise. And so we'll do this 5 times clockwise, 5 times counterclockwise. So roll your eyes, roll your eyes. If you want to do a whole roll your eyes, go ahead. You do you, boo. But yeah, roll your eyes, roll your eyes, roll your eyes 5 times clockwise, and then don't forget to do it counterclockwise 5 times, rolling the eyes. And these are exercises I've done every day. So I do the sun gazing when I can. I'm not so consistent on my sun gazing, but I am pretty consistent with my eye exercises that I'm showing you right now, and the pearl powder, and trying to drink detoxing teas and such. Okay. So next is called expansions, and this could be kind of fun. You could do this with a friend and try to freak each other out, but you're going to close your eyes as tightly as possible and then open them as wide as possible, like, and then close your eyes as tightly as possible, open them as wide as possible. And you're going to do this 10 times. So all the rest of them, you do it like 5 times, 5 times. This one's 10 times. So close your eyes and then close your eyes. And try to look at something in the distance when you do this instead of something close to you. Or you can practice going back and forth. You could do that maybe 10 times looking at something close to you, and then 10 times looking something farther away, or further away, I should say. So yeah, that's it. So you're basically doing distancing exercises. You're also doing like left and right, up and down. You're doing your diagonals. You're doing your eye rolls in a circle, and you're doing expansions. So like closing your eyes, opening your eyes. So yeah, I say try it out. You don't have to. You know, I'm not a doctor, as they say, but all I know is that it's been helping my little oculars, my little orbitals in my skull. So, and I have friends who also claim, you know, it's helped them. And I literally see them with less and less strong prescription eyeglasses. So I know that it's working. So yeah, try the sun gazing. Again, start off with 10 seconds. Make sure it's at sunrise, sunset, very low in the sky. Try the pearl powder. Try your eye movement exercises. Got to strengthen them, just like we got to strengthen our body to keep it rolling smooth. Try eating foods with vitamin C, vitamin E, beta carotene in it, you know, vitamin A. And what else? Yeah. And doing things that are very detoxing for the body. You can go into a sweat lodge too if you'd like. So yeah. Okay. Let me head back in. And it's lovely out here. We probably should do our meditation out here too. We can head back out for meditation time. Okay. Ooh. Get away from me, Mosca. Freaking flies. Okay. So much cooler in here. I mean, it's not bad outside. It's just cooler in here. Okay. Da, da, da. So hopefully you enjoyed those little eye exercises, and that you give these little tips and tricks a try. And, you know, but give them a good college try. You know, don't just try it one day and be like, I don't have hawk vision yet. Like I'm gonna do like the pearl powder and everything for like a year and see how that works. Give it a year, you know, at least a few months, but I'd say give it a year. I think that's like a good thing. Okay. Let me go back and see your comments, since I missed some. I missed quite a few, actually. Okay. Hey, Punky is here. Hey, Punky, what's up? Punky says they're building a massive data center near me. Ooh, I'm sorry to hear that. You guys need to protest that thing right out your city. And it's worked. People have been able to like tell the data centers to take a hike ski, and it's worked. Shapeshifter says, Lilith, that's scary. She's like, yep, but it won't work. And Shapeshifter says, Punky, time to make a detergent bomb. He's agreeing with Lilith. Punky says, remember how Sarah Connor got locked up for destroying data centers? I mean, predictive programming. me. Shapeshifter says, Lilith, water has centuries worth of wisdom. It sure does. That's why people like quartz so much, and utilize quartz in industry. It's has the same kind of fundamental properties as water. Not exactly the same, but it works in a lot of the same way. It moves energy. It like has consciousness in it. Siren said, I'm surprised you guys don't know many celebrities. Maybe my game is a bad idea. No, I guess you got to find the crowd that knows the celebrities. We just happen to be horrible at celebrities. Doesn't mean it's a bad game. We're just horrible at it. Shapeshifter says Punky, but that's Sarah Connor. Lilith says, yes, Shapeshifter, but we'll regain it otherwise. Don't worry. Punky said, it just shows that the movies tell us before it happens. It's all planned. Oh, yeah. Shapeshifter says, Lilith, I don't understand what you mean. Punky, movies also made to scare you, so you don't try anything. And Lilith says, I'm just saying the wisdom isn't lost. And he said, Lilith, it's not going to be. They tried so many tactics for centuries, and it still failed. Yeah. They're going downtown. Costalini says, watering the potatoes, eh? Lilith says, exactly. Shapeshifter says, Lilith, also notice how people are just more conscious these days. And Costalini says, seems like everyone is aware now. Most everyone, yes. I would agree. Shapeshifter says, wasn't the case some years ago, was it? Like spirituality is mainstream now. But there's also danger in that, because once the negative polarity or darkness is like, wait a minute, everybody's getting in on the spirituality train. We're going to have to derail that and make it mainstream so that we can control now the narrative spirituality and what is actually spiritual. So like even in that, they try to hijack everything. Buttholes. Costalini says, well, the boomers are still head in the sand. Not all of them. I'd say, I don't know what, is my dad a boomer? Not know what he's born in 1940, but he's like waking up too. I'm like, okay, Papa. He said, but everyone else seems awake. Siren says, I've noticed my vision has gotten better lately. I don't need my glasses to use my phone anymore. Hey, that's cool. Do tell, like, what does your daily look like? Like, what are you eating? How much time are you outside? Like, do tell, do share. What do the lights look like in your home? Is it LED, fluorescent, incandescent? Shapeshifter says, Costalini, yes, but things are shifting with the new generation. And Siren, I've had that too a few years ago. Lilith says, maybe it's not in boomers and soul contracts to see. Perhaps. But speaking of vision getting better, Riley said that for a long time he had to, wear glasses most of his life. And then when he became a pilot and he's like literally looking out into like sun, for most of the day when he's up, in the sky, I feel like that actually helped to heal his eyes because his vision got a lot better. He says when he was like in his 40s, all of a sudden his vision was getting better. When they say it's quote unquote, it's supposed to get worse because that's what they're trying to program you to believe. His eyes got better. And now that he's spent more time indoors because he's not been flying, since his accident, now he says he feels like his eyesight's getting poorly again. So perhaps we just got to go outside more and get more sun in our eyeballs. But I'm also going to try to start him on pearl powder too and see how that works. And then he'll report back to you guys. Let's see. Lilith said, So Shapeshifter said, Costalini, it's the boomers are the reason why we learned that their way doesn't work. Hey, we're all here to help each other in our various ways. Lilith says, moral of the story, wear your sunglasses at night. I wear my sunglasses at night. Shapeshifter says, Lilith, they were here to show us what doesn't work. They did their job well. She said, word. And he's also indoors. Punky's like, Corey Hart was wise. Yes. Shapeshifter says, who's that? That's the singer of I Wear Sunglasses at Night. I don't know if that's the name of the song, but that's one of the verses. Willis says, yes, especially then. Costolini says, oh, interesting perspective, Shape. I mean, I still want a pension like they got, and $100 or no, $12,000 houses. Funky says he sang a song called Sunglasses at Night. Lola says, blinding lights. Shapeshifter says, Costolini, that's fine, but shiny things don't automatically mean that you'd be fulfilled or happy. The cabal wants you to think that, but you could have all the money and nice things in your life. Could still be devoid of beauty. As they say, we try to fill our God hole, and the only one that can fill the God hole is God. So, but yeah, we could keep putting all kinds of shiny and wonderful things, and yeah, it can't make us happy. Siren says, I felt called to pull an oracle card for us, and I got Stacy DeMarco's Elemental Oracle, Wind with Change, Voice, and Speaking Your Word as the overall energy. Ooh, pretty. I like it. Shapeshifter says, do you not have neighbors? We do, but there is a national forest behind the house. Like the backyard kind of leads into the national forest. So there's no neighbors back there except the animal kind and plant kind. And we don't have neighbors yet over to the west. So our neighbor, really, our direct neighbor is just the one neighbor to the east. And then out by my property, I have neighbors, but they're like, we're separated by 40 acres or more. So so yeah, they're kind of far away. I like it. I like it like that. Not that I don't like people. I just don't want to be like real. I don't want to be looking in my neighbor's window, you know? You know what I'm saying? Costolina says, the TVs that used to play the chip ads are playing this ad right now of a bunch of eyeballs staring at someone using AI, and then the person using AI swapping to DuckDuckGo AI and the eyeballs. Interesting. Yeah, a lot of people, they like the DuckDuckGo because it's not Google. Enough said. Costolini's like exploding. Real-time synchronicity. Dude, like I said, you are Costolini synchronicity. Fill in your last name. Shapeshifter says, I see those big empty front yards in American homes and feel shitty. I can't walk anywhere without getting bumped in my country. Yeah, I like space. I like to have my space. Lilith's like, no privacy in India. Costolini's like, holy shit whiz. Shit whiz. Lilith says, body check every 5 seconds. Shapeshifter says, Lilith, no, outside your house. No. Costolini said the ad after that is an ad for a new brand of chips that says, taste the sunshine. Dude. And now a commercial for Horizon Milk, as in staring at the horizon a distance away. Tara's perfectly synchronized with the television. Or the television synchronized with me. I don't know. Also, I don't know if that's a good thing. Anyway. Shapeshifter says, Costolini, you should go try the lotto. Might just work with all the synchronicities on your side. And Lilith says, Tara is synchronized with life. Shapeshifter says, Costolini, you could buy that house. Lilith, not my life, though. I'm sitting in the dark. And she said, seeds sprout in the dark. In the dark, everything can be created. That is true. There are quite a many seeds that don't need a grow light or the sunlight to grow at all. They are self-contained. All the energy they need to sprout is within them, and they don't need the sun. And then once they do hit above the surface, then they need the sun. But yeah, I mean, to truly sprout, they don't need sunlight. Not all seeds anyway. Shapeshifter said, Lilith, maybe you could do this. You're Lilith, after all. And Siren says, am I the only one doing these exercises with you? Well, I don't know. other people could have been joining in, but I hope you like the exercises. Costolini says, day my company gave me an extra $25,000 in stock. A shapeshifter said, Siren, probably, and it's not my fault. I'm going to have to wait till tomorrow. That's right. It's dark where shapeshifter is right now, unless he wants to do moon exercises or moon gazing. Excuse me. Whoa, like the chat just went, hold on. I got to go back up. Costolini said, so shape, just like start buying stuff you don't want but can't justify, and the universe will give you free money. Your eyes will find abundance for you. And a shapeshifter said, Costolini, keep them shekels coming. Lois says, question. Tara, I'm curious to know what kind of gifts I possess and what clairs are active and what clairs might join in the near future. How to best apply them in the greater good of all. Man, I can't wait to get to that question, because right away I hear Dr. Wing like coming in with her wisdom. She had a lot of wise things to share, and I've kept them with me. Costolini said singing Hava Nagila and reading the Talmud may or may not have been influenced that. Shapeshifter says, Costolini, I'm not sure what you meant though. If you keep buying, you get more opportunity to buy. Is that what you're trying to say? And Siren said that her battery is dying. She's got to go. Also, there's a reason changed water is used as medicine. All right. Well, have a great rest of your day. Have a beautiful week. See ya, Siren. Shapeshifter says, also, there's a reason. Changed water is medicine. Costolini says, if you start focusing on things that you want and you ignore the how am I going to pay for this question that comes from the ego, you'll find things will just magically work out. Yes, yes. And he says, I agree with you 100. Costolini said, I wanted $100,000 the other day, and the day after I got an offer from one of my credit cards, redeem 1,000 reward points for an opportunity to win $100,000. So I entered. We'll let you know what happens. Do keep us informed. You also might have people knocking on your door, though. Shapeshifter says, Costolini, hope it goes well. Lilith says, maybe the universe will grant you an opportunity to explore your relationship with financial abundance. True. And Shapeshifter said, National Forest behind the house is a flex. Okay, so Lilith, to get to your question. So, like I was talking about before with my friend Dr. Wing, like I said, nobody really ever called her by her first name, not even her daughters really. They didn't really even call her mom. It was just like, Dr. Wang. I don't know, kind of weird. Anyway, so I remember there was a point in my spiritual journey when, obviously I knew that I could see spirit and I could feel spirit, I could see spirit in my mind's eye, sometimes with my actual little eyeballs, but most of the time it was in my mind's eye. I could feel spirit. I knew that I would have premonitory dreams. And and then I would like start to wonder once I'd watch a bunch of these YouTube videos, and I started getting into YouTube, and people kept talking about these clairs, and they were talking about, spiritual gifts. And then I asked my uncle about them, and who's like, kind of on the woo woo side. And my uncle was like, yeah, some people have certain gifts, like some people, they can only do premonitions of things. Some people can only talk to spirits. And I thought that was very limiting. And as I got deeper into my spirituality and just kind of learning of the energy of things through different religions and things like that, I was like, well, if we're energy and we're connecting to energy, like spirits, timelines, ETs, whatever it may be, then why would our quote unquote gifts or clairs be limited if we're unlimited in our soul? So I came to learn that we possess all those abilities, like whether it's claircognizance, clairvoyance, clairsentience, all the different clairs, um, you know, the audio, clairaudience, or being able to tap into the spiritual world, or actually being able to hear the creator talk, or whatever it may be, in what ways people are connecting. But it's all energetic, and we're these infinite energetic beings. We're literally in all timelines at once. We're like everywhere at once, because the creator is everywhere at once, and we come from that creation. And so, um, going back to my friend Dr. Wing, when I hadn't even asked her, like, what am I good at? Like, what are my clairs? She just started telling me to try things. Like, tell me what's going on with the woman in the next room. I couldn't even see her. Like I said, I was in a dark room with my little acupuncture needles in my body, and she's like, look into that woman's body and tell me what's wrong. So she would do things like that, or she would say, what do you feel about that person, or what do you feel about this food, or what do so it wasn't, can I do it? It was, try it. I'm not even giving you the option to say, oh, I can't do it, or oh, I think I can try. She was like, just do it, just try. You're not going to know unless you try. And let's say I couldn't look into that woman's body, and I didn't even know if I was right or not. I just like gave her an answer. I'm like, this is what I feel, this is what I see. And she was like, okay. And she went with it. And that's actually how I built my confidence with things, was just go for it. Just say what you're feeling, say what you're seeing or what you're hearing, or and keep trying at that. And that's how I learned that I could do so many things other than just talk to spirits. I could feel into all of these things. And of course, that whole journey led me back to my creator. But I'm like, unless you try, you don't know about that particular talent that you have. And I feel like we have access to all of those gifts, all of those clairs. It's just, what do you want to strengthen? Now, me, I'm a very visual person. So that's what I strengthen the most, being able to see into the future, being able to see, or at least a future, being able to see spirits, being able to see energies. And because I was good at it, that's solely what I focused on. But with Dr. Wang, she was like, do this, do this, do this. And those are areas that I had no confidence in yet, because I didn't even know if I could do that. But I tried, and I kept trying, and I kept trying, until it was like, wow, I could actually do that. I didn't know you could do that. Like, that's cool. So yeah, for Lilith, I would say for you, you are an infinite being. You have access to all of that, because you're a spiritual being. You come from the ultimate spirit, so it's just in trying something. So let's say you're like, well, I'm not very good with clairaudience. Perhaps through more meditation, or spending time out in nature, and trying to listen to, your guides, your angels, to the creator, as you're, trying your best to listen, and then taking note of how you feel, and not right away saying, oh, it's probably wrong. Oh, it's probably make believe, or I'm just, maybe I didn't hear it right. Just saying, you know what, that's what came through. I'm going to take that for now. That's the feeling that came through. That was probably the message. I'm going to take that for now. Maybe I don't understand it quite yet, but I'm going to take that for now. And from there, you continue to build your confidence, because you keep trying, and you keep trying, you keep tapping in. And for those who've ever studied Reiki, that's what it is. It's a tapping into energy. You don't know that you can do those things until you try. You don't know that you could, do bicep curls until you try. You don't know that you can heal your eyes until you try. So, Lilith, you can do whatever you set your mind to, quite literally. If you want to become clairaudient, you can become clairaudient. If you want to become clairvoyant, you can become clairvoyant. If you want to be able to feel the creator's spirit presence, you can feel the creator's presence. If you want to be able to connect more deeply with plants, you can do these things. If you want to look into people's bodies and see what's going on in there and why that's going on, you can. You just have to try, and then take whatever message it is that you get, even if you don't understand it yet, and just keep trying it and keep trying it. And eventually you'll be able to understand what the messages mean. You'll be able to decode that later. But for now, just give yourself the grace to feel into it, listen to whatever came to your mind's eye, whatever came to mind, write it all down, write it all down. And eventually you start building your confidence. And it helps. Like, I think it helped with Dr. Wayne because she had confidence in me when I was like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. When she's like, I'm thinking something right now. What am I thinking right now? And I'm in my brain, I'm like, it's like, what? Like, am I telepathic? I don't think so. Like, I've never tried telepathy. So because I've never tried something, my ego's like, you can't do that. You never tried it. Yeah, well, before I could walk, I never tried walking. So what am I going to say? I'm never going to walk because I never tried it, because all I've done my whole life is crawl. So I would say, try it. Try all of these different things, because you can do all of them. It's just, how much time and effort do you want to put into it? And how much time and effort do you want to give your confidence? Because you got to build your confidence, and you only build your confidence through trying over and over and over again. So yes, you can do all of those things. Just try one and keep going at it. I mean, it helped me because, like, Dr. Wing was just so confident that I could do something, and I didn't even know what the heck I was doing. But I was like, okay, she seems to believe in me. And I'm like, okay, I don't even know what the heck am I doing. I'm looking in people's bodies, like, what the heck? Like, feeling people's energy. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Talking telepathically. But slowly I built my confidence, and now I know that's possible. All those things are possible. And that's because, we're eternal souls with infinite ability, because, well, look where we came from. Okay, let's see. Shapeshifter says, you also channeled spirit. Yeah. And there was a point where I was like, I didn't know I could channel. And because I thought channeling was something you only did with spirits. I didn't realize you channel music, you channel poetry, you channel art, you channel when you're connecting to another person and you're trying to understand them on a deeper level, you're channeling. So it's not just like energies and ETs and 4D and 5D, and it's all kinds of things. Shapeshifter says, in one of your videos, oh yes. And Costelina says, she gave you the Yoda treatment. There is no try, only do. Says, do or do not. There is no try. Lilith says, fair point. Thank you. You are very welcome. I have confidence in you. Shapeshifter says, Lilith taps into her Lilith energy. I know this was for Lilith, but I'm stealing this talk. Hey, go ahead. I mean, that's what all these Q&As are for. I think that through the things people want to like learn about something, or, a question somebody has, I mean, we're all connected. We're collective consciousness. So one of us is going to have a very similar question. Okay. So on that note, connecting to things, Lilith, I want you to connect to time. And I don't know, maybe in the chat, just tell us, did you hear something, feel something, hear a song in your head? Try and connect to time. This time is from our friends that live in Idlewild. One of Riley's friends gave me all this time, and she gave me all the time in the world. So I have a bunch of time, but hers is one that she grew herself, and it's so fragrant, and it's like I don't have the heart to use it, so I just like kind of keep it in here. But yes, Lilith, I want you to tap into the time, and you tell me, what do you hear? What do you see? What do you feel? Do you feel it in a certain part of your body? Does it make your eye throb? Did it make a song come to mind, a movie, maybe a quote? Did it make you sleepy? Did it make you like energized? Do tell, put it in the chat. I mean, I'm going to read about time, but these are just author perceptions. And I am curious to know your perception on time. And you know what? I'm going to extend it out beyond Lilith. Anybody else? I want you to tap into this. The creator gave all of us these beautiful plant medicines. So when you tap into here, you are reconnecting to that creator. At least that's me. I connect through nature, but you never know. You could probably connect through nature. Have you tried? So here we go. Tap in. You guys tell me what you feel, see, hear, smell. Maybe there's a taste in your mouth. I don't know. Movie popped up. I don't know. Put it in there. And we can't say that anybody's answer is wrong because it came through you, your intuition. Maybe we can't decode the message right now, but perhaps in the future we can. So, alrighty. Costalini says, my ears have been ringing every day, but no clairaudience since October of last year. Well, perhaps the ringing is the clairaudience. Oh! Shapeshifter says, we don't have this herb, I think. Also, I'm terrible with plants. Well, even if this plant doesn't grow in your country, just pretend this is somebody you don't know. Just tap in. Tap into this little homie over here. Well, it's actually multiple homies, but the oneness type homie. It's a little green homie. That's all you need to know. Lilith says, feels like expanding lung capacity. Oh, really? Well, that's interesting. What else do you guys feel? So we got expanding lung capacity. What else is the creator showing us through this plant? You tell me, you guys. It's just a little greeny. It's okay. This guy doesn't grow where you are. He's looking at you right now. He's looking at you with his bazillion eyeballs. Or she. Or neither. Could be unigender. I don't know. Smells so good. It smells like a damp forest floor, like full of nutrients and richness, with a hint of spice. Very earthy and florally all at the same time. So freaking good. Punky says, perhaps say no one is home and then you may get knocking. Yeah, no one's home, but then there's a knock. Okay, I like that too. Okay, so let's see what these authors have to say. But remember, this is one guy, Rico Ketch. This is his opinion. Then you have Scott Cunningham. This is, rest his soul, his opinion. Then you have Andrew Chevalier. It's just his opinion. But you guys have the ability to weigh in as well, energetically. All right, so let's see what Rico Ketch has to say about time. Time is in the, and Siren's going to love this, but she's already gone. It's in the mint family. She was talking about mint has been stalking her. Okay, the leaves are harvested just prior to the plant's flowering in the afternoon of a warm day. They remove the stems and use the fresh or dried parts. This is like the whole parts from our friend. If you're going to tincture the fresh herb, you want to do a 1-to-2 ratio. If you're going to tincture the dry herb, it's a 1-to-5, ratio. If you're going to do a water extract, like a basic tea, you can use the fresh or dried leaves. Thyme is a good astringent and is an active antiseptic, most useful for treating upper respiratory infection, Lilith, either viral or bacterial. The herb allays cough and bronchitis. As a culinary spice, the fresh or dried leaf is added to food near the end of preparation due to the presence of volatile oils. Thyme is very tasty on vegetarian, cheese, and meat dishes and is considered especially appropriate for seasoning eggs. The British are fond of using it on mutton. I have tried mutton. Not my favorite. Contradictions. The tea and tincture are safe for general use. Do not take the pure essential oil of thyme internally. Avoid direct contact with pure, undiluted essential oil of thyme, especially on sensitive skin, mucous membranes, and in the eyeballs. Do not put it directly in your eyeball. It is strong. Thyme is just like the scent. When I opened this up, I was like, it was knocking my socks off in a good way, but it's strong. Okay, there's other species. There's nearly 400 species of the Thymus genus, also known as thyme. There's Thymus vulgaris, which means common thyme. And then there was one called Thymus or Thymus. I'm trying to sound it out as I see it. Sepalus, which just meant that it has like many leaves of thyme. And that's the wild form of thyme. Most of which exhibit culinary medicinal attributes. These include creeping thyme, mastic thyme, other wild derived species. T. vulgaris, Thymus vulgaris, is the official species, represented by several tasty cultivars, including English breadloaf, French and German winter thyme. So, lots of species to dive into. Costolini says, a service dog walked past me, so I literally smelled the dog when I closed my eyes and thought about it. Interesting. Okay. We'll also think about what dog represents. Loyalty. Lilith is like a wild. Costolini says, smells like smelly dog. Shapeshifter says, I never knew you could tap into plant consciousness before I knew you. Now I'm going to try to tap in to the consciousness of the one plant I always wanted to know, but was too scared. The Datura. Ooh, I've been thinking about Datura a lot lately. Maybe that's one I need to tap into more. But think about it. If the creator made everything, literally everything, all dimensions, all things, all animals, all plants, all universes, whatever, then and the creator is pure energy, then all those things have energy as well. We have energy. So yeah, we can tap in to literally anything, even the energy of that cell phone. Could tap into that energy. Okay, so let's see what Scott Cunningham, the late Scott Cunningham, has to say about time in the spiritual sense. Back in the day, time was burned to attract good health and also worn for this purpose. They believed that it could promote healing, and it does. I mean, Rico Ketch just said in modern times it is used for healing. It was also placed beneath pillows to ensure a restful sleep and a pleasant lack of nightmares. As you'll see in Andrew Chevalier, I don't know, I like to say his last name, Chevalier. I almost said Chevrolet, but anyway, it says that people used it for sleep as well. So that's cool. When worn, they said that time would aid in developing psychic powers, and women who wore a sprig of thyme in their hair, it would make them irresistible, probably because thyme smells so good. I don't think it smells like wet dog, but I do feel like it has a loyalty to healing. Thyme is also a purificatory herb. The Greeks burned it in their temples to purify them, and so thyme is often burned prior to rituals or to cleanse an area. In spring, there was a magical cleansing bath composed of marjoram and thyme, taken to ensure all the sorrows and ills of the past would be removed with that person. They also believed that thyme could aid in giving you courage and energy. And they also believe that it would help you to connect to the Fae. Okay, so let's see what Mr. Chevalier has to say. Actually, thyme is in two places in this book because it talks about garden thyme, which is what this is, and also wild thyme. Okay, so here is what it looks like before it looks all dried, like the version I have. Beautiful little flowers. Okay, so garden thyme, which is Thymus or Thymus vulgaris. Thyme was praised by the herbalist Nicholas Culpeper as a notable strengthener of the lungs. As a notable, a one who grows, neither is there a better remedy growing for that disease in children, which they commonly call chin cough or whooping cough. Thyme is an excellent antiseptic and tonic, and today it is still used as a respiratory remedy, as well as being important for a variety of other ailments. Let's see. Its habitat is mostly southern Europe, but it is grown worldwide now. It is raised from seed or by root division in the spring and prefers light, chalky soils. Its aerial parts are harvested in the summer. There are many thyme species, each with a different volatile oil content. Wild thyme is often used in the same way as garden thyme. Its constituents are volatile oil, flavonoids, and phenolic acid. Its key actions are antiseptic, tonic, relieving muscle spasm, expectorant, expels worms, and antioxidant. Well, we do know that sometimes dogs get worms, so interesting that the dog thing came up. Let's see, what else can we? Oh, anti-aging. Research in the 1990s in Scotland suggests that thyme and its volatile oil have a markedly tonic effect, supporting the body's normal function and countering the effects of aging. More recent research indicates that thyme is strongly antioxidant and may help maintain higher levels of essential fatty acids within the brain. Good stuff. Menstrual pain. Many compounds within thyme relieve muscle cramps. A 2014 Iranian clinical trial compared the ability of thyme and ibuprofen to relieve period pains. The findings showed both treatments to be effective. Cool. Let's see. Asthma and hay fever. Thyme is prescribed with other herbs for asthma, especially in children. Its invigorating qualities balance the sedative effect of many herbs used for asthma. Thyme is also helpful in hay fever. Thyme is often used to treat worms in children and animals. Interesting. Applied to the skin, thyme relieves bites and stings and is used for sciatica and rheumatic pains. It helps ringworm, athlete's foot, thrush, and other fungal infections, as well as scabies and lice. Thyme infusion and diluted oil are also massaged into the scalp to encourage hair growth and reverse hair loss. I have put thyme in my rosemary hair oil concoctions before. Maybe this next batch. Because usually I do nettle and rosemary, but maybe I'll do thyme, nettle, and rosemary. Ooh, see how that turns out. Let's see. So yeah, you can do infusions, create essential oils with it, make a syrup out of it, make a tincture. It says do not take the essential oil internally and do not use the essential oil externally during pregnancy because our skin does absorb things and it is very strong. So, during pregnancy, people are pretty sensitive to a lot of things because it's going directly to the baby. Okay. Now there was a section in here on wild thyme. Okay, wild thyme contains a volatile oil with thymol, carvacrol, and linalool, flavonoids, caffeic acid, tannins, and resin. The volatile oil's properties are similar to, but less potent than those of thyme oil. The 17th century herbalist Nicholas Culpeper advised taking wild thyme to treat internal bleeding and coughing and vomiting. He noted that it comforts and strengthens the head, stomach, reins, which is the ureters, and womb, expels wind, and breaks the stone. Interesting. Carolus Linnaeus, the 18th century Swedish naturalist, used the plant to treat headaches and hangovers. Good times. Let's see. And then the last part says, like its close relative, the garden thyme, wild thyme is antiseptic, antifungal. It may be taken as an infusion or syrup to treat flu and colds, sore throats, coughs, whooping cough, chest infections, and bronchitis. Wild thyme has anti-catarrhal properties and helps clear a stuffy nose, sinusitis, ear congestion, and related complaints. It has been used to expel threadworms and roundworms in children and animals and is used to settle gas and colic. Wild thyme's antispasmodic action makes it useful in relieving period pain. Externally, it may be applied as a poultice to treat mastitis, which is inflammation of the breast, and an infusion may be used as a wash to help heal wounds and ulcers. Wild thyme is also used in herbal baths and pillows. By the way, I had to have the book far away before I keep getting closer now. I'm like, my eyes are getting less and less blurry. I'm like, this is so cool. Okay, so let's think about the energy then of time, as Lilith was pointing out. It has a lot to do with being able to take a breath of fresh air, of expelling what no longer serves us, what's no good for the body, and also allowing us the ability to breathe in what does serve us. So, handy dandy little friend. Let's see how maybe this friend could walk with you this week, how you might be able to utilize it, maybe pick some up at the grocery store, or if it doesn't grow in your area, just bringing it in during meditation, in your mind's eye. So interesting. So in what ways are we having difficulty breathing into a certain belief or idea, or what are we needing help in releasing? What's been a parasite, perhaps a parasite belief or a parasite friend, or or not so frenemy, or situation. So yeah, it's the purifier, it's the detoxer. And I was literally talking about detoxing, like for the eyeballs. So who knows, maybe it could also be good for the eyes if it's good for detoxing stuff out of the body. And if it's stuff that's built up with our eyes, that could be helpful. I mean, it couldn't hurt. Let's go back to what you guys were even saying. Shapeshifter says, yes, please do a stream on Datura. Ooh, maybe I could go collect some, because I do see some on the roadsides every once in a while. I see them down in the valley, but I've also seen them heading out east too, or east, sorry, that way. Costellina says, everything is made of consciousness, even a rock. Yes, even a rock. Shapeshifter said, yes, absolutely. And Costellini says, there's just not anything to make anything out of except for consciousness. So even the space between things is consciousness. Quite literally. Shapeshifter said, Costellini, actually, we say that consciousness is all there is. Everything is just an appearance. For example, try imagining something outside of your consciousness. You've never experienced anything outside your consciousness. And Costellini said 100%. And even if you did, it would be non-experiential and I wouldn't remember it. Shapeshifter said, yep. And Lilith says, I'll be having time tea. Well, there you go. Lilith says, I can barely keep my eyes open. Well, it's late where you are. Go to sleep if you gotta. Shapeshifter was wondering why Lilith is so sleepy today. Well, just like it's nighttime where you are, I believe it's going into nighttime where she is. And she's sleep deprived too. So there's that. He said, Lilith, that's why you feel like you have MPDs. She says, I don't have MPD. And he says, an MPD patient would say that. And she says, expels with time dust. Oh, he's cracking up over there. So yeah, okay. Well, if y'all would like to dive into a Q&A, I am open for Q&A questions. You could do. And here we have multiple options: super chats, super stickers. There's also a couple of QR codes that you see up here in the video. There's one for PayPal, if that's your bag. There's one for Zelle, if that is your bag. Or if you go down to the description just below this video, like click on description. I have like all of the different ways you guys can do donations. And I don't have a set amount of donation. It's a donation. So it's like whatever you feel comfortable with. So I have Cash App, I have Venmo, there's Zelle that you see in the QR, there's PayPal. But of course, yeah, if you want to do YouTube, you can do the super chat, super stickers. But I had started offering other options because YouTube does take 50% of your donation, which I think is criminal, but what do I know? So yeah, you guys can have questions about dreams. You could have questions about tea. You could have questions about gardening, questions about really anything. So yeah, we can get into that. But yeah, maybe I'll have some time tea this week. It's time for tea time. Let's see. Shapeshifter says it's actually early morning now, and I feel like I've taken an adrenaline shot. You know, that would happen whenever it's not happened since I've been in lately because I can't stay awake past 10 o'clock for some reason. But when I was like in college and I would be awake until the morning time, it's like you get all cracked out and like wired because you didn't go to sleep and you're just like, but once you do go to sleep, you are like dead to the world. um, Shapeshifter said, no sleep for me. Lilith says, shot of Lilith got him all high. She said, tea time. And he said, yep, my torturer. And she said, your beloved torture to you, sir. Mm. I'm glad I left the cinnamon stick in there because it's like gets more and more cinnamony and it's so good. What else was I was gonna tell you guys something. Oh, okay. I don't know how this even works because I haven't seen people talking about this, but when I was talking about healing the eyes, okay. So I how do I say this on YouTube? I had magical fungal support the other night. And it was just a little microdose of magical fungal support. And I noticed that once it started kicking in, I was like, I was like reading something, and I got it out here because I'm reading, and then all of a sudden it's like my vision went into focus, and I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, like I'm back to the vision I literally had a year ago. I'm like, oh, I'm back to my 2015. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And I was like practicing like my focusing exercises. I probably look like a crackhead, but that's okay. I was just so excited to have my vision back. And so then I was like trying to like analyze it. I'm like, well, if my eyes are dilated, that's probably like the aperture of a camera. So it's like letting in more light, which helps me to see better. And then I was like, and then maybe, I don't know, it helped like alleviate some pressure somewhere and just like helping out my eyes. So I don't know. Those of you that are into magical fungal support, maybe it'll help. I'm not sure how that works, but I just happened to notice that. So I'm gonna throw that in there too. I don't know. I don't know. Um, Costalina said, speaking of sleep, I have dreams. I think you got my Venmo. Yes, I probably did. I haven't checked yet, but I probably did. I believe you. Um, and Shapeshifter says, yes, ma'am. And Shapeshifter said, do you drink chai? You mean tea? Yes. I know that it's chai, and chai means tea in a lot of countries, but yes, I also drink chai tea. Lilith says, pulls out the whip. Will you make us authentic chai? Ooh, I could. I could. I do. I like authentic Indian chai. Shapeshifter says, Lilith, I wish you guys lived near me. I have so much food I want you guys to try. Lilith says, double shot of Lilith. Okay. I am going to, let's see, is my Bitwarden open here? I'm going to open my email. Costalini, did you text me or did you email me your dream? Because if you emailed me, then I'll just open up my email here and then we could dive into your dream or, whenever you feels like it. Shapeshifter says, Lilith, they should actually sell a drink by that name, though. Double shot of Lilith. Dude, they should. Interesting. Okay, so while we're waiting for all of that, so when I was talking earlier about like how everybody connects to energy, they connect to the creator in different ways. For me, it's through nature. For some people, that's not their bag, so they're like, for me it's like absolute silence. Or for some people it's like, oh, I need for me, I feel like the creator when I'm out, like, fighting the good fight, I'm out protesting and I'm like, standing up for this and that. So there's a book, I don't know if you guys, those of you that are bookophiles, bibliophiles, that want to do a bit of reading, there's a book by Gary Thomas called Sacred Pathways, 9 Ways to Connect to God. And although he is speaking through I think he talks a little bit through like a Catholicism and also like a Christian faith. Um, it talks about like the different ways and people, how people connect to the creator, and then ways to strengthen that connection. Or you might find that you have a plethora of ways that you like to connect. And so it was interesting, what I read about nature. And I found out that I actually do connect in other ways. And I thought I was just a little nature person, and I would still consider myself that. But yeah, there's like, they call it the naturalist, the sensate, the traditionalist, the aesthetic, the activist, the caregiver, the enthusiast, the contemplative, and the intellectual. And it describes all of them in detail and how you can connect more deeply. So yeah, if you're looking for different ways, because some people are like, man, I tried connecting to energy or the creator in meditation, just meditation doesn't do it for me. There are other ways of connecting other than through meditation or through prayer. So I suggest this book, no matter what your background or your faith is. Just if you're looking to strengthen your like energetic connection, to the all, to the one, then I suggest this book. And then another book, just throw out there because I'm referencing it again, and I like to go back and reference all my planty books. But if you happen to be in Arizona and you want to go on foraging, there is a book called Foraging Arizona, and it's by Falcon Guides, Christopher Nierges, I believe that's his name. Anyway, it's down at the bottom there. And they make other books other than, Arizona. So I think they make books for other countries too, but I know that they have one for almost every state in the United States. So if you're in the US and you're like, well, how would I forage in North Carolina, or how would I forage in Florida or Vermont? Definitely look it up. It's got a lot of like pictures, like full color photos. It tells you the property of plants, what you should actually harvest, when you shouldn't harvest it, ways in which you could utilize it. It gives you recipes, tincture stuff. Like it's all kinds of goodness. So again, if you're in Arizona, this will be a pretty good book, but definitely look for foraging books for your area. And if you live outside the United States, I know that there are books like that. Perhaps not by Falcon Guides, but there are other books out there for your particular region. So definitely go check it out. Go foraging with safety. Forage with safety. We don't want to accidentally eat datura by accident. Let's see. Let me go back here. Lilith says, I'll invent you one. You might not survive consuming it, though. And he said, poison is medicine sometimes. It sure is. I mean, look at foxglove. It could be a heart medicine, or it could be your, Grim Reaper. Lilith is not me thinking about poison ivy meantime. And he said, I don't know what that is, though. Okay, so Costalini, you emailed it. Let's go ahead and open up my email then. And Melissa's poisonous plant type. And he said, thank you. That was very helpful. She said, can't tell if it's sarcasm or not. He said it was. And he also said, also, please don't whip me for it. I won't ever do it again. She says, now you're just begging for it. Oh my gosh, you guys are crazy. Okay, so I'm going to open up my email here. Okay, and I believe my Bitwarden is open. There it is. Let's go. There we are, Costalini. Okay, here we go, sir. Okay, and by the way, thank you for the donation, Costalini. All right, so 3 different dreams, but 2 of them seem to be the same. I think you figured out the main message, but maybe there's more you can pick up on. The first 2 dreams were one after another. The 3rd dream happened a few nights later. Okay, so let's dive into looking at dream number 1. Okay. In the first one, I was walking down the street in Ottawa. It was cold outside, maybe approaching winter. I recognized the street. It was approaching winter, huh? Okay, ding ding. Keep that in mind. It was sort of where I would wait for the bus when I was in university. Across the street, there was this redheaded girl. I don't think I know her in real life, but she was very distinct in the dream. Not the prettiest face, but decent body. And then the scene changed to me sleeping with her in my ex girlfriend's apartment. My ex girlfriend that I'm referring to lived on that street. She moved there just as I was finishing graduate school and had gotten the first real full time job. She was this really hot French girl. And she walked in and caught us. It was weird because it was like in the dream, I suppose. I was supposed to know we were together or something. Okay, so before I read the other 2 dreams and your interpretation, um, let's just take a look at that first dream there. And Shapeshifter says, I'm also quite impressed by how Costalini remembers his dreams. I can't remember most of mine. I would say if you have trouble remembering your dreams, set your alarm to before you know you wake up. So if you normally wake up at 8 o'clock, maybe set your alarm for 7:30. And as soon as you wake up, just like keep a journal by your bed and just like write down anything that you remember, even if it's spotty. Okay, so first of all, the fact that it's cold outside and it's approaching winter. Uh, I'm thinking of like Game of Thrones, like winter is coming. Or the show that we're watching right now, Shogun, which we have like 1 episode left of the modern Shogun, the remake of the show. And there's a reference to, although it's springtime where they are, and Mariko makes this haiku, and she starts it off with talking about winter, and everybody was saying, well, it's kind of weird talking about winter when it's currently spring. Well, winter usually means there is an end to something, that it's symbolic. Winter means end. It also means wisdom. We think of like the crone energy, like wise. We also, it's a time of stillness. It's also representative of death. And it's all across all cultures. Like a lot of times this is what winter represents, wisdom, death, stillness, things coming to an end, a clearing away, a freezing, an ice. So, okay, with that in mind, that being symbolic in your dream, and then you said that you were waiting for the bus. So it's like something has come to an end, or something is coming to an end, and now you're moving forward. You're getting into something that's moving forward. So it's not the ice then. So it's not that you're coming to a part in your life where something is now becoming frozen. It seems like something's coming to an end and we're moving forward because you have the transportation, you're moving forward. Then the redheaded girl. Okay, so we know that red hair is a recessive trait, and it's not very common for red hair to stay until adulthood. There's very few cultures, left around the world where that bright red hair, is like a thing. So here you have something that is very uncommon, which is the redheaded girl, but it also represents like flame, fire. And somebody was mentioning earlier in the chat about the phoenix arising from the ashes. Interesting. So, okay, bear with me. And so you said that you were in your ex-girlfriend's apartment. So now you're with this redhead, something which is representative of unique, uncommon, also could be a phoenix. And you have somebody from your past walking in and being apparently angry or jealous because it's like, we still have a connection, there's still a cord attachment there, but here you are being transformed, basically. In a psychological sense, I feel like the redhead is actually a part of you. It's not a separate person. It's a particular personification of your growth, of your transformation. And so somebody from your past who still feels connected to a past version of you would, of course, become angry with seeing this transformation in you. So I believe that your first dream, just in my my psychological sense, is all about a chapter's coming to an end, winter is coming. There might be a time of stillness, but this is also a time of great wisdom and great reflection, and also a transformation. Hence the redhead. The redhead is actually you. And also, you said that you were like with her in an intimate sense. Intimacy is also seen as a combining of something becoming one. So this transformation and an old version of you, Costolini, coming together to become one. You are this one. Okay, so and then let's take a look at dream two. Let me go back and see what you guys are saying. Shapeshifter and Lilith. Oh my gosh, you guys crack me up. She says the Chronicles of Costolini continues. And Shapeshifter says, I'm also quite impressed, how Costolini remembers his dreams. And he was saying to Lilith, I actually don't have social media. Trying to connect outside of the chat. Very cool. Meeting new people. Costolini says, I started taking CBD a few weeks ago and everything got really vivid and I could start remembering dreams. You know, that plant medicine does help with that, by the way. He said like 1,200 milligrams before bed. I would say that definitely would help with some clarity in your dreams. Let's see. All right, so sorry, just Shapeshifter and Lilith having a little convo. Okay, so let's take a look at dream numero dos. All of a sudden, I'm Harry Potter. Awesome. And I'm in this basement of a mansion. I don't have my wand, and there are zombies coming towards me, which is strange because that really doesn't fit with the Harry Potter theme. I remember running around in the dream and picking up 5 or 6 wands that were either on the floor or in dead people's hands. That part is unclear. As the zombies are walking towards me, I try doing this killing curse, Avada Kedavra. Avada Kedavra. And the green energy hits the zombies and does nothing. But all the wands burn up and turn to ashes in my hands. So I run upstairs. Suddenly everything's fine and the dream ends. Oh my gosh, so much. Okay, so first of all, you being Harry Potter, yes, it's a fictional book, a fictional story of the Harry Potter series. But Harry Potter is like the Neo of the Harry Potter world, you know? And so he, through like instruction, grows. And you see, I haven't watched all like Harry Potter movies, you know, I will confess, or read the books, but I had to a little bit as an English teacher because we were teaching some other stuff. Anyway, so you see Harry Potter grow from a young boy to a young man. And there's so much he learns along the way. And there are often times where he becomes reliant on magic instead of realizing the magic was within him. So in this dream, you are the magician, you are Harry Potter, you are this one going on a journey of growth. And then you're in the basement of this mansion. I believe that the mansion is you, and that you are now getting into the bowels of yourself. You know, basically, you are trying to get to the deeper levels of your consciousness, of your understanding. So you're in this basement, and there's zombies coming towards you. So it could be that while you are looking deeply into your psychology, into your, you see ways in which you may have allowed the outside world to dictate how you think and how you believe. That's like the definition of a zombie. It doesn't think for itself. It looks for brains and other people. It's like, yeah, brains, you know. So these zombies are coming for you. You're finding that deep within your consciousness that at some points in your life, and it could have been subconscious, you know, unconsciously, where you've decided this is how the world is based on what you've been fed through school, through friends, through family. And so you're finding these zombies. And so you're running around and you see all these wands, and part of what the zombies are teaching you is that you have learned to externalize your innate power. Harry Potter puts his power into his wand, but it's not the wand, it's the one who's holding the wand. The only reason that stick works is because of him. And so you're seeing all these sticks and you're thinking it's the sticks, these wands that are going to go ahead and get rid of these beliefs, these implanted thought processes, and things like that. And you realize they turn to ashes. They weren't the power. That's not what gets rid of this. You have, the power to get rid of the zombies. And then it says that you go upstairs and suddenly everything's fine. Well, what's that symbolic of? I go upstairs. People talk about the man upstairs. Dude, you reconnect to your creator, you reconnect to your soul, your spirituality, and you decide that it isn't in the belief that you've been taught that you must externalize magic and power and all of that. You learn from this and you're like, you know what? I realize this doesn't work. I'm going to go up. I'm going to elevate my energy. I'm going to elevate my consciousness. So you go upstairs. And when you did that, the zombies disappeared. You let go of that belief that my power is not external, it's internal. So very cool. That's an awesome dream. Let's see. Shapeshifter and Lilith emailing each other. Awesome. Okay. Dream number 3. In the third dream, I can't find my car. I'm in this gigantic parking lot with thousands of cars that are scattered around the parking lot, not parked in individual yellow lines, just sort of scattered in random orientations, parked bumper to bumper. In this dingy, poorly lit garage, there are some elevators inside, but they aren't like human elevators, more like platforms that rise and bring you to the next level. Elevators that you would see in a car factory, perhaps, for the cars. I remember seeing the old apartment complex manager from my apartment. I don't like her, but we didn't interact. And at the top level of the parking lot, it was open air parking. When I finally did find my car, it was this shitty 1970s Dodge Challenger full of scratches, paint chips, dents, sort of a distorted color, not a brand new, nearly perfect one. When I got inside, the first time I closed the door, it worked. For whatever reason, when the door opened, it was like there were 2 doors. I'm not sure how to describe this, but there was one door that was hinged at the front of the car, like normal. But then there was also a second door hinged at the middle of the car, and 2 doors sort of have to overlap to close the door. And I got stuck in this situation where every time I tried to close the door, it just wouldn't close, or the order that the doors had to be closed would change. Anyways, I guess eventually the door closes and I see my actual real life car, which is way nicer, in the parking lot. And I said something like, damn, I wish I could afford that. Okay, let's dive into this one. So I can't find my car. Dude, where's my car? Where's your car, dude? Cars represent our movement forward. Again, transportation, which relating to your first stream about the school bus, bus of learning, basically. This is my learning, knowledge helps move me forward. So you might feel that at times you can't find your car. You can't find your momentum forward. And so as you look around, you see all these cars in all sorts of manners. So it's like when you're sifting through information in your waking life, you're trying to understand the self, you're trying to understand your purpose, you're trying to understand these things, and you have all these bits of information. You've got information on the internet, you got YouTubers galore, you got stuff on social media, you have talking heads on the television, you have well-meaning friends, you got family, they're scattered, they're all over the place. And it's like, where is my way forward? Where is my car? Where is my, movement forward? It's poorly lit. It's dingy, meaning at times it can feel like that in our lives where it's like, I can't see clearly the way forward. I can't find my vehicle, my movement forward at this time. And so you said that there was elevators, and they're kind of like car elevators. And so again, that's all about like rising to new levels of perception, not just frequency, like expansion, but also like new levels of seeing things, and seeing things in yourself and the world around you. And the fact that it's open is again like open consciousness, being able to see everything instead of being enclosed in an elevator. And then you talked about seeing your old complex manager. And you said you don't like her, but we didn't interact. So it's just seeing things of the past. When you're diving into the self, invariably phantoms of the past are going to pop up. And so in dream, it's like, oh, you see like your old manager there, your old apartment complex manager. Okay, so this is interesting. So you're looking for your car and you think you've kind of found it, but it's this like beat up old car. I mean, in essence, if it were all cleaned up, that'd be a pretty badass car, but it's all kinds of beat up. And so you get in it, I see you trying on, just in the dream world, I'm trying on an old version of me, hence the old car. And there's many doors in this car, and they all open kind of funkily. And the reason for that is, where you're having trouble like closing the door, is because it doesn't fit you anymore, but you needed to at least see it. So this is, instead of seeing this in your waking life and being in a situation where you're having to try on an old version of yourself, you're doing it in your dream time. So in the dream time, you're trying on this old version of you, and it doesn't quite fit. The doors don't quite close properly. It looks kind of beat up. And you haven't discarded that car. You're still paying reverence to it. It's like, okay, that old version of me, it's been through a lot. It's got dents, it's got scratches, but that's kind of what happens to us as we move through life. And so you're not like burning the car, you're not like kicking away the car, but you realize that trying to adapt an older version of yourself is almost impossible to make it fully fit. And when you realize that is when you see the new you, which is your newer car, and it's all shiny and pretty, and you're like, oh, well, that's me. And that's what fits me now. And there will come a time where that shiny car that you see in your dream will eventually become the old beat up car. But for now, you're being able to see that way forward. And since you said, damn, I wish I could afford that. And since you're still kind of sitting in the old car, there's still a piece of you that doesn't quite believe that you're there yet, that you've elevated yet, that you've learned enough yet, or that you're moving into this winter of release yet. So the three dreams are definitely all connected. They're definitely about this momentum forward and wondering if you're ready for that, which is why I wonder if I can afford that. I wonder if I'm ready for that. And the ego is wondering if it can afford to go through all the things that you're going to have to go through to continue to transform, metamorphosize, So it's wondering, can I really afford that? Can I afford to change like that? Can I afford to grow like that? And the soul is like, heck yeah, that's why I'm showing it to you, because that is you and you are ready. Okay. Let's see. Kosali says, also, there was something that happened after getting the car. I remember being a Chinese woman and going down a big green slide, but I don't remember enough about that part to write it down. Well, being the Chinese woman, that's interesting because you've been working on the divine feminine. So it's almost like you're not becoming another gender, but it's like I have embraced this, other energy, which is the divine feminine, to coincide with my divine masculine. And going down the big green slide, well, that is the big green heart chakra. That's the woo. That's the heart. Oh my god, and I'm wearing green, so it's just very cool. So your interpretation in the first and last stream, the item person of attention is worse than the version I had and did have in 3D. But for some reason, the dream, I seem to still be experiencing the worst version, even though the prettier version is right there in front of me. In dream one, the pretty X is right there, but I'd already chosen the redhead. In the third dream, I'm in the shitty broken Challenger when the one I literally own is right in front of me. So this has something to do with still choosing things that I don't prefer energetically. I can agree with that interpretation as well, but also think of the prettier version. So sometimes we romanticize the past, hence the prettier. We might romanticize how things were with a particular person, or how I used to be, or how I used to do this. And it becomes like rose colored sunglasses, of the past. When you're actually like trying it, it's like it doesn't fit, and you see this newer version in front of you, and that's because that's what you are heading towards. So also a very good interpretation. I like that too. And you said in the second dream, the magic being used that doesn't work is the extreme negative. The killing curse could be thought of as the most negative energy. And when used on zombies, i.e., representations of negative entities from the past that aren't fully gone yet, they're still clinging around in my reality. The spell just doesn't work. Negativity just burns up the potential to perform any other magic. I think the message here is to remove the remnants of the past. The only possible way is to run away, stop paying attention, and create distance. An example of this would be the Fauci trials. In the past, I wished death on him frequently. Now that something might be happening, there's no emotional reaction, and I'm just ignoring whatever happens. He can't hurt you if you give him no attention. And then obviously, this idea expands to all things and people that aren't preferred in 3D. Yeah, so that also could definitely tie in with your second dream. I can definitely see that. But yeah, also at the same time, just the zombies being representative of a particular belief, or, a way of doing things, and realizing that the magic wasn't outside of you and you weren't running away, but more like releasing. And in doing that, they just kind of disappeared when you went to a higher frequency, a higher perspective. And instead of being like, it's like, I don't want to say, um, let's say I have my head in the garden, and it's like literally like in the garden, I'm looking down at the soil, and I'm wondering like, why why is this happening to my plants? Like, why are they getting all eaten up, when if I just took my head out of the garden and like looked around, I'd realize that maybe there was a giant ant hill over here, or like, maybe there's birds that live in the area and they're eating all the fruits and stuff like that. So sometimes it's about like getting out of being in the middle of it and just getting that higher perspective. And I think you were doing that in your dream too. So there's a lot of all this like perspective change, elevation change, seeing the past, seeing how we can sometimes make it kind of rosy looking, and sometimes we could see it for what it truly is, and that's the duality of existence. So, but I do see the movement forward, hence vehicles came up a lot. So that's pretty good. Costalini says, you got so much more out of those dreams than I did. Thank you for looking at those. There's a slide in front of me right now beside a giant green tube. Dude, that's awesome. Shapeshifter says, do you use Jungian dream interpretation? It's in there because I have read a lot of Carl Jung stuff. So yeah, it's in there. Not all of it, but it's in there. Costalini says, in real life, at the pool, in the gym. Cool beans. Well, thank you, Costalini, for letting me dive into those. That was fun. Also, a lot for me to sit with too. And I'm like, ooh. And I have some dreams to look into. Okay, so do we have any other personages that would like to dive into maybe some dream interpretation, some herbally stuff, off-griddy stuff, gardening stuff? You let me know. Again, there's multiple ways to donate. Totally up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. In the meantime, I want to share some dreams I had and then realized they weren't actually my dreams. Let me explain. So Riley and I went to Colorado I was sharing that with you guys. And we got to stay in this like pretty old Airbnb. It was like built in 1898. And the town that we stayed in is called Silverton. And it's an old mining town. They would mine like silver, and then it was gold, then it was back to silver, hence Silverton. Um, and they have tried to keep the town as original as possible. So there's not like, it doesn't look like every other town, so it looks like an old West kind of town, with a lot of old buildings and old homes. And they try to keep it that way, keep things like as original as possible. And I think that's pretty cool. And anyway, so we're in this home. I think it's really cool. Obviously, it's been renovated and everything, but I think it's still pretty cool. It's got the like upstairs. I believe we were kind of like in a big master bedroom where Riley and I were staying. And then we had friends across the hall in a different bedroom. And then we had friends that were sleeping downstairs because we were on this jeeping trip. And in this big master bedroom that we were in, it had a sink in there, which is like so old school. I was like, that's cool. This is like totally Victorian era. And it is. And then there was a wood burning stove. It wasn't functional right now, but it was still cool that it was in there. Um, and when I would get ready for bed, I don't know, I would feel like kind of restless, and so I would have this restless kind of sleep. And the first night, I had this dream that my father and I were looking at like Polaroid photographs, and they're photographs of me. And in the background of every photograph, there's this like shadowy figure of a man or something. You can't really make out any features. It just looks like a shadow, like a man's shadow. And my dad is pointing out in my dream, he's like, who's that? What is that? And I'm like, I don't know. And we were getting concerned because it was in every photo. And I'm like, what is that? What is that? Um, so anyway, I wake up. I didn't feel like I was very well rested, but I was like, well, I'm sleeping in a different place, and we traveled kind of, it was a lot of time on the road. So, maybe that was the reason. Plus, I'm all excited to go jeeping. So had a lot of fun. Then second night, I have this dream that I'm in high school and Riley's in high school, and Riley gets me pregnant, and I'm like so embarrassed, and I feel so ashamed because I feel like I'm too young to be pregnant, and people are going to make fun of me, and what is everybody going to say about me? What are the rumors going to be? Like, am I going to get kicked out of school? And so it's like this, I'm trying to keep it to myself, and I'm worried like what's going to happen when I start showing, and so it's kind of like a disturbing dream a little bit. It was almost like a nightmare. Like, and so then the second night I felt like I wasn't very well rested, and I was feeling kind of like weird. But then, we went out, we had jeeping, we did some jeeping, had a lot of fun. Then the third night, the final night, um, then I have this dream that Riley's surrounded by, I don't know, it was like a bunch of people or something. And I was upset at him for some reason. Like he wasn't paying attention to me, or he didn't have like affection. He wasn't being affectionate anymore. And I was so angry at him. And I was like, you don't even notice me anymore. And da, da, da. And I'm like yelling at him. I was like, it's like you just want to break up. And he goes, "Hmm," and he just walks away. And then I'm even more angry. Like you really, really don't care. And like I was all brokenhearted, and I'm like on my knees just crying, like my heart's just like broken. And so I wake up, and now I'm like, I'm not in such a great mood because it didn't feel good. Like it felt so intense, that dream. So it took a little while to kind of like shake off the bad juju, and so, but then we went and we had a good time, jeeping. He says it would never happen. I believe him. Um, so, um, okay. So then after that night, um, it was not after that night. Actually, it was the same night. So I wake up actually from that dream because it's a nightmare. Like it didn't feel good. I'm angry when I wake up, and I look at my phone, and it said it was 4 a.m, which is technically 3 a.m, Arizona time. And, and I'm just like laying there, and I'm like, I'm like, I was actually upset at Riley laying there because in my brain, like I was still groggy. I was still like in the dream. So I thought that really happened. But then like once I was laying there for a while, I realized it was just a dream, but it didn't feel good. And then I hear um, a little bit of noise, and I hear like a baby start to cry. It's almost like the baby goes, ah, ah, and it like stops. Like like if somebody like stopped a video or stopped a, like it didn't have a taper off, like it was a baby was starting to cry and then it just stopped like in the middle of the cry. It was kind of weird, but it sounded like I was trying to like listen to the direction, and I thought it was coming from outside, and then I realized it was actually coming from across the hall where our friends were sleeping. And by the way, nobody brought a baby. um and and I'm like, well, that's weird. So I'm just like laying there. And then I hear the door open from across the hall, and I hear somebody come down the hall, and I hear them go down the stairs. And then I hear the baby start to cry again like downstairs. Then I hear somebody like in the kitchen. I hear a bunch of other noises. Then all of a sudden it sounded like the whole house was creaking, and making noises and settling or whatever it's doing. And I was just like, and in my brain, I was like, dude, I do not have time for ghosts right now. I'm trying to sleep, and I already had a nightmare, and I just want to go to sleep. And if I eventually went back to sleep, but yeah, the next morning it took a little while to like shake all that off. And so then I was trying to think about it, because I was like, what the heck did those dreams mean? Because I don't feel that way towards Riley. I don't feel like he's like not giving me any attention and being just like aloof and cold shouldered. And also, like, what the heck, being a pregnant teen in high school, what the heck is that all about? I was like, and what was that shadowy thing? Oh, I forgot from that first dream. So my dad and I were looking at that shadowy figure, and then we hear a storm brewing, and we go outside, and there's this lightning show going on overhead. And at first I was like, ooh, that's pretty. But then it's like a little cloud, and the cloud's like just above my head, and there's like lightning in this cloud, and the lightning wraps around me and it's like holding me hostage. And I was like, and I'm like yelling, like, get away, stop. But it felt like somebody was trapping me, not lightning, but somebody. And that's when Riley tried to wake me up because I was having a bad dream. So I had a nightmare all 3 nights that, that we were in Colorado. And it wasn't until later I'm like, trying to do my own dream interpretation. And I realized that, wait a minute, because I did hear the baby cry, and I'm having dreams of like being a pregnant teen. What if those weren't my dreams? Sure, there were people that I know in the dreams. I knew Riley, my dad, some of the people that I saw like at the school was like my high school. But I feel like whatever spirit was in that house was trying to relay some bad things that happened to them. And my brain was interpreting it through my own people that I know in my life. And so when my dad was pointing out the shadowy figure behind me, I feel like that shadowy figure could have been the energy that was trying to communicate with me. Um, and or also, I feel like it was maybe a woman that was attacked or raped, and it could have been by her boyfriend or whatever. Hence feeling like being held hostage, but also being held hostage by the spirit that's like trying to like relay this information. And so perhaps this young girl did get pregnant at a very young age. And then that next dream where it's like the boyfriend or whatever just kind of takes off. I feel like something happened where the father of the baby left, or maybe the boyfriend found out she was pregnant through rape and then decided to dump her. Whatever it was not good feelings. And so I like sent a little prayer and just like, help this energy cross over, or just kind of release it from that house. But yeah, so that's where I was like, that was interesting, dreams that weren't actually mine. um Let me see. Let's go back here. Lilith says, ooh, wild. And Shapeshifter was saying he got Lilith's email. She said, okay. He's asking not to be whipped. She wants him to beg for it. Anyway, she says, it's interesting how residual energy lingers. Feels like soul fractals that split due to traumatic events that haven't been reclaimed, just stuck in time, like shattered glass over timelines. Yeah, I feel like it could have been a bit residual, but also it seemed like there was a consciousness to that energy. So it could have been both, like both residual energy that just kind of doesn't have consciousness. It just does its thing because it was so traumatic, or negative or whatever it may have been. But also I felt like there was consciousness to it enough for it to be like, hey, here's what happened. I need somebody to know. I'm like, I mean, not much. It's not like I can go back into the past and like, help this person. But in the present, I can definitely, pray for the energy there, pray for whatever happens. So interesting. I thought I would share that with you guys. um, all right, so let's go into our meditation and let's go outside for the meditation because it's still nice out there. And that tea, even better as it's cold. Seriously, it's better as a cold tea, I think. Mm, good stuff. Shapeshifter says Tara probably thinks we're just psychopaths, but fun psychopaths. It's okay. I'm Looney Tunes too. Okay, let's bring time with us and let's bring my flute because I feel if time represents the lungs and breath, then I'm going to use something that connects to breath. Lilith is like, speak for yourself. Tara knows I am one. Okay, let's head outside, you guys, for a little meditation. Woo. No, excuse me. You guys are going to be at an awkward angle. It's like you're riding piggyback with me right now. Piggyback. Walking alongside me. Looking at the roof. Okay, now we're outdoors. Much more partyful. Okay, let's put this here. Put you guys here. Actually, you know what? Maybe we can go down the stairs a little bit. All right, I'm gonna bring the time. I'm gonna bring you guys downstairs. Give me just a second. Ooh, I don't know if you could hear the horsies in the stables next door. Okay, there we go. That's a nice, beautiful view. We have time here. It's just out of frame. That's okay. Okay. Go ahead and find yourselves a nice, comfortable space. A place you'll be undisturbed for the next several minutes. You could be laying in your bed, sitting in a chair, seated on the floor. Maybe you're outdoors in the grass underneath your favorite tree. Whatever feels most comfortable for you. And as you get yourself nice and settled, go ahead and bring your awareness to the breath. The breath we sometimes take for granted, but is literally what gives us life, continues this life, and is the creator that breathes this breath into each and every one of us. So as you breathe in, be mindful of where you feel this breath and where you might feel light in certain areas of your physical body, where you might feel heavy, where you might feel blocked, where things might feel more in flow. But we're just becoming aware of these things at this moment. And as we continue to breathe and release that breath, just noticing how we feel in that release. Where do you feel it? How does it feel? And every noise that you might feel or hear in the outside world, every thought that passes through, it only aids you to sink more deeply into this relaxed state, focusing on where you're feeling the breath in this body, the inhale, the exhale, continuing to breathe, feeling that peace wash over your face and your jaw, feeling more and more relaxed, the shoulders dropping away from the ears, feeling relaxed down your arms and your fingertips, feeling that slow relaxation down the midsection and your legs, your thighs, your calves, all the way down to your tippy toes. And if you feel called to close your eyes at this time, go ahead and do so. Just continuing to breathe. And as we breathe, we ask this herbal ally that wishes to work with us this week, time. We ask time to help us to understand what our breath means to us and what is in that breath, meaning what are we breathing in at this time? What are we readily allowing into our spiritual space, our physical space, our mental, emotional space? Just as the Creator has breathed breath into us, so too can others breathe an artificial breath into us, perhaps breath coming from social media, breath from a well-meaning loved one, breath from a memory. And does it still serve you? Is it aiding you on this journey? And time reminding you that not everything has to be easy, because without resistance, how could we learn courage? How could we learn strength? How could we learn confidence without that resistance? So allow the breath to teach you. And also allow the exhale to teach you what you must release and how it feels once you release that and when you're ready to release. Continue breathing. go ahead and bring your awareness back into the body, feeling into those fingers and toes, perhaps giving them a little wiggle and thanking time for offering us this time to look into what we have been breathing in and what we are ready to release. And when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes and give yourself a nice big stretch. Yay! I was going to show you, there's a bunch of little flowers down here too. They're hanging out with you guys. All right, well, let me bring this all back in so I can see your comments. It was nice having you guys out here and you guys could hear the horse next door. But wow, what a fun live chat. Thank you for joining me, and maybe you'll try out some of those tips and hints and tricks for improving your vision. And let me know, like I said, give it the old college try. Give it a year at least. Because these things take time. But also, thank you for joining me in making a delicious tea and learning about our Herbal Ally for this week. Thank you. And let's see, let's look back here. Costalina was like a spirit trying to have a gal's venting session. I know, right? Yeah, that's kind of what it was like. And Lila says the spirits won't leave her alone. It's wild. Yeah, whatever. My little spidey sense is always open, I suppose. Shapeshifter says, Lilith, a lot of spirits just want to be heard, or so I've heard. And she said, we should learn to listen. Yeah, I mean, I learned something about somebody's lifetime a long time ago, some bad times they're in. But it just means now that we know, we can send some good love their way. Lilith says, take some of Tara's workload. Shapeshifter says, Lilith, as long as the spirits are nice, though, there are some really shitty ones. True. Just like people. I mean, once we shed the body, some of us are going to be crappy. Some of us are going to be nice. Lilith says, I'm getting visions of a dapper man walking through the field with a shotgun in winter clothes hunting, I think, for deer. It's depicted like a stop motion kind of film, frame by frame, vintage, weathered. Interesting. That's really interesting. And Shapeshifter says that flute along with the calm yard was nice. And then he said, did he say something? And she said, no. Well, very interesting. Like I said, this has been a very fun live chat. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I'm going to try the noon time again. I know that I did noon my time, Arizona Mountain Standard Time, a couple of times ago, because that was for we were packing for Colorado, and so I wanted to do the live chat early, but we had so many more friends joining us that don't normally get to, because they're different parts of the world and stuff. So I think that next Sunday I'm gonna try noon again, and you guys let me know what you guys think about it, doing it at noontime my time, and see how it is. That way it's maybe not so late in certain parts of the world. I know that it's going to be hard to sync up everybody's time zone, but I don't know. We'll give it the old college try. So anyway, thanks for hanging out. You guys are amazeballs. Thank you for letting me dive into your questions. Thank you for letting me talk about geeky herbaliness and interpreting dreams and all kinds of stuff. So thank you guys. Costalina says thank you. Absolute genius. Thank you. All right, you guys, I will catch you later. Peace, love, and chicken grease. Stay wild, my friends. Peace out. Bye. Woo!